writing it today. That means you're going to have to do it on your, it's really kind of tricky to get that done because tomorrow I have to make it one day. I can't take all of them home. Tomorrow we have to enter some points back. Some of your right time, your lunch time. But I was okay. Glad to change your grade if you want to change it. And then again, 3 through 5, I can look through, have an idea of what we did, and work it out. Ask the correct. Nobody got through. That's okay. That's what we're striving for. That's where we start. Okay? All right. We'll be. I have. Oh, this lady over here. Quinn Mitchell is a kindergarten teacher at Veritas, and she's going to do individual oral phonogram review with you. There are going to be 30 cards, and she's going to just look through them. But still, they're working hard. But take this, she'll take you back one at a time, so after she caps the first one, just ask your next guy to go back, okay? So that we can get through these as quickly as possible. She's not here definitely, so we want to use her. Okay? All right. And we can start. So put into wherever you want to start. Just make the first one. All right, before we go into the notebook further, yesterday when I started section K with you, we went through 10, twice, 12, 20, between, and then I went to bed, and I apologize for that, because what I was doing 10, twice, 12, 20, between, so I can talk about 2. All right, so if I taught those words, we've all you at the class, we've gone through 10, twice, 20, and that's the way I would do it one at a time, after another, after starting with twin. So now, boys and girls, I would say to you, if you have twin beds, how many beds are there? 2. If it happened twice, how many times did it happen? 2. What do you add to 10 and 12? Class. 2. How many 10s are in 20? Between. If I have something here and here, and I put something between them, how many items did I need? 2. Obviously, you're answering these with 2 every single time. Every question you ask. So that now, when you write the word 2, Socratically, they've discovered a reason that it might be what? When we say twin twice, 12, doesn't sound funny at all. So when we write the word 2 that relates to all of those words we just talked about, it looks like we're writing twoo. Twoo. As you write it, you'll say twoo. Twoo is what we write. When we hear it, what's the first time you hear? What's the next time you hear? What will I do with this whoop? Double underline because it's silent. It's a reason to use a double underline. Okay? And then what about the oo? Is it okay for this letter to say oo? What can it say? Ah, oh, oo. Okay, does that make sense? I apologize for giving you the beginning of it and not saying where we're going with it. And then, of course, those would all be graced. When you did your work at home last night in section K, what came up as a problem for you? One day, okay, before you answer that, in your the pink notebooks that I graded, I'm curious. Nobody asked me yesterday about Rule 18. Does anybody understand Rule 18? Because you wrote it in your books usually. You know what Rule 18 is referring to. Do you know where the rules are in your text? You found the rules. And Rule 8, if I did the word may, how many sounds in may, please? A. In the word may, you wrote next to it. Do you have any idea what that is? I didn't talk to you about it. I hope you read the rule. Yes? It is. It is. It's at the end of the word. So the point is, if I write may, I write me and use move E at E, right? I wrote go and use go, O. I can use that single vowel at the end of the word, right? But in the case of A, if I'm at the end of the word, I'm not going to use at, a, ah. The only exception to that will be the word A. Okay? If I hear the sound A, I'll probably go to that two-letter A. You don't have to, but that's very common. I'll go to that two-letter A. I would not use just at, a, ah. We talked yesterday about the fact that it would say ah at the end of the syllable. It's always teachers going to say ah at the end of the word. Arizona, inertia, orchestra, okay? At the end of a word, if I'm reading, when you're fifth graders, fourth graders, you know this. If you're reading and you see an A at the end of a word, it's It would never say it would never say A. If you need to sound A, you can use that two-letter A, okay? And that's what Rule 18 is speaking to. Make sense? Okay. Please don't blindly just write a rule if you're not sure what that's talking about. It may not be because you're doing a lot of this on your own too. So go back and read the rule. If you're still unsure, read it again and ask me about it. Okay? So that it can be clear because you want to go in armed with the information you have. Okay? Were there any problems? Other than two, I'm seeing another problem. See, two more problems. This first, this section K, that's particularly why I wanted even fifth grade to do it. You're going to be skipping it. When school starts, you won't be doing it. But there are so many cumbersome words in this list. Right at the beginning, it's just a mess. It evens out and everything's fine again. But this first list in section K can be pretty tricky for children. When you write the word where is it? Tell me the first sound of where, and show me as a teacher. You're my teacher now, so I want to be able to read the word going this way. I'm still going to be your teacher, so you're reading the word going this way, right? But show me on your fingers how you're going to explain the word where. First sound. What's the first sound? Not what, but hold up two fingers. Okay, and make sure your class holds up two fingers. What's the next sound? Air. I don't know a phonogram air. That's what I heard somebody say. I don't know anything that says air. I'm going to have to break it up. What's the next time you think you hear? Most people would tell you they heard A. Right? You don't know how to spell this. Where? A. Maybe? You're going to have to direct them to at. We're going to use at E here, girls. At before the At okay? Let's do it again together. What's the first sound? I'm pretending you're my children, but you're going to show me as teachers, right? Because I'm totally wrong in school. Where? First sound? Next sound? At. We need at E. Next sound is okay? Watch out. At the end of this word, you can tell me what's sitting here. An E, a silent final E. It's not just any old E, it's a silent final E. What's its job? Why is it here? Job 5. What does job 5 mean? It means it's a no job E. It has an E. It's a no job E, okay? It has no job. Because it already said at verb. Every time that vowel sits next to the verb, it's going to be tricky for you and for those children. Because if I say Mary will marry him and have a merry time, Mary sounds the same. Mary, Mary, and Mary, right? So to teach that, I would have to say Mary will marry him and have a merry time. I would have to really call attention to those vowel sounds so that they can take it in and be able to say that sound as they're writing. It's not like, well, I don't hear that, so I'm not writing that. No, we're going to write the way it's spelled. We're just trying to defend the spell. Okay? All right, does anybody have a question about where? Everybody okay with that? So in the word where, back up here a minute, we've written, what did we do to mark it? Underline, it took 2 letters. Next sound was at. I don't usually have to mark at. Never have before. You will mark at when you do the word very. Same thing that's happening in where. At, I usually can say, okay, say his first sound, I'm fine. But if I do nothing, it looks like, well, I just forgot to mark the Do I mean it's at or do I mean it's I'm going to put a 1 over it to indicate that I really mean at the first sound. Yesterday when I had my name up on the board and I said I put a 1 over it, yes, you would know that it was with just first sound. Same thing's happening here, really. But we don't normally do that unless it's that digraph with the AR, ER, whatever. But we have to call attention to that vowel making its first sound rather than making one of the Is that clear? Okay. So in that word, we had to put a 1 on at and then the no job. Okay? When you teach without, when you teach afternoon, make sure you're asking for the base word. Very soon, well, not that soon, maybe by January, but when they're sitting there going, I'm done, what's the base word? We have to study. Pretty soon, especially the older children, they know what you're going to ask them. So instead of you always asking, you prompted enough, now it's time for them to say base word. What I'm doing without. Base word with, base word out. I write with, add, out. Forming compound word without. They help guide you. In the beginning, you're going to have to say, what's the base word? Is there another base word? Yes, out. Okay? Afternoon. Base word is after. The other base word is noon, so I'll write after and add noon. Now to write those syllables, teachers, show me the syllables on your hand. So you have after noon. You're going to have to cross over unless you can suddenly add an on. Okay? After noon. And then children will be doing that too. Okay? When you wrote without, did anyone wonder about the second sound? Okay. I didn't believe it, but in the dictionary it really is with. We hear most people say with, come with me. However, it is with, but that's not the critical part as far as I'm concerned. This word is so often misspelled. You've seen this word misspelled, and the misspelling is where do I put the H? I know it's somewhere. Okay? So instead of with, they'll write with instead of with. Okay? When I teach the word with, I think it's in section J, it's before this section, for you who are starting in 3rd grade, would be, you would approach it here. But you may have to teach it when you see their compositions come in and your 4th and 5th graders can't spell with, right? You better stop about it. When I write this word, when I teach this word, I say, okay, boys and girls, this next word, before we write it, I want to tell you there will be no air in the entire word. Not one sound has air. I make a production of there's no air in the word. So when I write with, what's the first sound I'm saying with no air? Whoop. How many letters? Hold up your fingers. Whoop. Okay. Some, only one. Whoop. Okay, good. What everybody's fingers are up. Whoop. Whoop. The next sound that I hear is it. That's easy enough. They all make it. The vowel sounds when I'm speaking, right? Whoop. If. The next sound, remember I said there's no air. What if? What's the next sound? With. And they're going to with. Yes, writing with. It's another mnemonic device as far as I'm concerned to help them keep all those sounds in place. The isn't a problem. They're going to write TH. This is the problem. They're going to write WH unless you really call attention to it. Okay? And you'll have to teach that if you're teaching section K because you have to talk the word with. You'll come across it when you get into J. All right. Friday, there's your capital letter. All the days of the week are named for something particular. You do Sunday, it's in honor of the sun. All the days of the week are named in honor of something in heavens or ancient Greeks and ancient gods and goddesses in mythology. Sunday sun, Monday moon, okay, etc. Tuesday Tyre, god of war. Wednesday Woden. Thursday is Thor. Friday here is Frigga, who was the wife of Woden. Okay, that was her day. In her honor, Saturday, Saturn. And you got a planet named for him, so he was a pretty big deal. So he's got agriculture. Okay, so Saturn gets crossed. Okay? But he had other jobs too, besides that. So, ecology. All right, when you write the word hour, you would teach hour time first, and then talk about hour with the we're going to write or the hour on the clock, the hand on the clock, help them get to that H, and then of course you're going to go underline. July was named the Julius Caesar. He had his own month name for him, so Augustus Caesar wanted his, so he got August. Yes.
I had a question about hour.
Yes.
And because I could predict a question from the students saying, well, it sounds like 2 syllables. Hour.
Okay, well, if they are from Dallas, they would probably say 5 or 2. Okay, so you're going to have to pull them toward hour. It's not hour. It is not our dog. It is our dog. Okay, and it's certainly not our dog. Okay, that is what they're more typical of. Excuse me. Yes, because especially at this level, because they're going to say our. It's our turn. It's our turn. Otherwise, why is that our turn? Okay. Does that answer your question? Better, we talked about yesterday. I hear batter. I only hear this, but I don't want to read the at the end of the syllable. I'll add a consonant. Rule 29 states this. When you write cost, yesterday when we were doing cursive letters, if we connected from an upswing, if I wanted to write as, and I come up, there's my name, right? If I come from an O or any kind of a free-hanging dip, I have and finished it 2 on the clock, so I ended with a free-hanging dip, right? So when I come around and connect it, it's only going to go as far as it did here. The S, boys and girls, is really this. We'll just never see it that way. Because we're going to see it in an upswing, or we're going to see it in a dip. Same thing happens with the R. When you write R this way, up, slant, straight, there's your connector, right? The R is really this. And I'll tell second graders that. They love it. Okay. Because when I connect from an O, instead of making from an upswing, I have a free-hanging dip, slam, straight. So here, this is all there's to connector. All that is. So they don't have to practice 15 of those every day to get the idea. This is the letter I just connected it. Depends on the letter before it. When we did them disconnected, it was always, this is the way it looked at the beginning. Okay? But that's not the only place that letter can have a B. We come from an O. So it's something that upstream. It's going to come from a green and dip. Okay? This in particular is a problem. We don't want them to go from 2 up and then try to attach it somehow. It's only going to go as far as it would if I come from that other. Yes. So you'll want to fix that in your book. When I do bear and dare, what I would teach first is bear. He has bare feet. We talk about what does that mean? It means there's nothing on them, right? Or if your table is bare, there's nothing on it. When we write the word bare, tell me the sounds. A, and it's by itself, just like nothing with it, right? A, B's and E. Now we have another word, bear, that runs through the woods. And he's the one that likes to eat. So I have a clue word here again. I'm going to write eat, because there's my E, okay? But A, again, the sound did not change, and then It is not A, it is not E, okay? It's A. But A, just like it was in bear feet. Does that make sense? Okay. But I would write a Q, E next to it. When you write poor, yes, it is food. Poor. I will pour water for the poor. They're not the same. Okay? That's a percent food. It's not like what.
How the A connects to S, how does the O connect to S?
Yeah, it's right here. O starts at 2, dip, and then the S is going to go to this point right here. Just like it did when I connected to the A.
Oh, so, okay.
So that the S is really this. Okay? Sometimes it has enough swing, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, we're all clear on that? Okay. Maybe, the word maybe. Is that a compound word? I think so. I may be late, maybe. Okay. By the way, I will not make you late to the sermon. Okay. I apologize that you're the ones that go in last. I won't do that today. Promises. But I mean, Geraldine will deal with me. I'm not familiar with the person who's doing it today, so I won't do it today. Oh, that's it. Okay. I'm going to get through everything, but I won't make you late. When you write across, do you have a compound word? Do you have a base word? Yes, cross. I have to cross the street to go across. I see adults who can spell that word because they know something's double, but they don't know what. So let's double the C before I forget that I'm going to double something. Okay. So you're going to always rely on your base word first step, base word. Number 2, syllables. Number 3, you start the sounds. You don't plow into the sounds. You find the road marks along the way that can help you get there. What is my base word? Could be the word you're writing. In 10, it's 10. So if you have a base word, you must either have a prefix or an ending, right? So in 10, it would be for your ending. But find that base word, especially when you get to this point. You don't have to say, you don't have to teach you go and say that's a base word. Okay? But if you're writing going, it really helps to know that go is the base word, right? Okay. Tonight, compound word. When you teach these and those, I would teach those first. It's easier. They don't know what to do with that E. You don't often have vowel, consonant E, right? So that those, they'll get it. And then look what happens. Same pattern. O, you do that E for shell. C and C, obviously, there's base word, and you wrote through the word fail. Okay. All right, great. Any questions that I didn't hit? Yes.
Rule 5 on Friday.
Yes.
I didn't see how Rule 5 is. It said I could be, or it could be I sometimes. That was basically what I saw as a rule, which I don't
Okay,
understand.
well, explain the word to me. Tell me the syllable.
Right. Say.
Then tell me the sentence.
Or I.
A vowel will not say its name without a reason. So why would this I get to say I?
The end of the syllable.
Yes, that's what Rule 5 is.
But how's it different than Rule 4?
Because I typically says it, even at the end of the syllable. Okay? Just like the Y typically says it at the end of the syllable. So they get their own rule. That's all. It's the same idea. It's just that we don't expect it as much for the I and the Y. Okay? July, the Y said I. So that's Rule 5 again. Okay? But baby, it didn't. We expect the S sound. Ended and ended. It. Okay? We expect that S sound, even at the end of the syllable. Yes.
So for the letters PH,
Yes.
almost always use the first one.
pronounce the word or when you
When I-
are trying to mark the word?
Like when I speak it, so like if I, speaking it to my own, and the student will, I almost never,
Okay, when you go this morning or tonight, when you go home, instead of taking a shower, you're going to get in that big porcelain tub. What are you going to do in that tub? You're going to take a bath. The verb would be what? I'm going to bathe in that tub, right? I wouldn't bathe. Bathe. Okay, it's probably, you can speak to me later. You probably are pronouncing the words okay. It's just that you don't hear them. And many times, the same thing will happen with the s. You don't hear which one it is. So say it clearly with both. Do I bathe or do I bathe? Oh, I bathe. But inside my head, I don't know which one it is until I say it aloud. I bathe. Okay? If I say this, you don't say this. You say this, I'm sure. Of course, I haven't heard anything funny out of you. Okay. I see this. Well, maybe, I think what's happening is you just don't hear the yet. So say it both ways. Test yourself. Do I say this? Really say no voice at all. This. Or is it this? That. Okay? You don't say that either. Someone will correct you. Okay, anybody else? Yes.
When the word suit, like on the right group and suit, it makes it say sound in my head, but.
Okay, we have to talk that word. When I would teach that word, I would tell you to use you, we're going to say you. We're going to say you wore a new suit, okay? If I'm speaking to you after class, oh, that's a nice new suit. I didn't say that. To spell it, I'm going to really call attention to that U sound, because if I say ooh, the first thing I think of is ooh, go off. Okay? So we're directing it toward, oh, this is a little strange, we're going to say you, suit. We can say it in fruit. We can say it do some after that word. That's why they have fruit and suit. But we would pronounce it to teach it with that U. Okay? Okay with that? Okay. And keep in mind, it's about, what's the best way to have them remember that? Okay? It's suit. It's that new, suit. U. Okay? It's that you sound. It's when you teach the word you, you're going to teach it as you, so they can remember who you. It'll help them get there. This was what we had to talk about in South Road with me. She says it's who you. All right? Yes. Anybody else? Okay. Let's continue on page 2. Everybody should finish page 2 last night. You have words across the page all the way down. I'm going to add a few other words to what you have in the list, the ers of Irwin. Now, you can see as you were going through these, there are hundreds more words for your her, many more words for your first, and even nurse. But the word of her is the first word you use because it's so common. You hear it all the time, and they need to know that. Children need to know that. If you aren't sure which one to use the or her. Particularly if you're at the end of the word, multisyllable word, brother, mother, father, son, her. It's probably going to be your her. It doesn't have to be, but it's probably going to be your her. It's the most common. First, I have to learn by sight. I have to know, I hear the which one was it? Oh yes, I've seen that word. That it's not that we never use sight because I talk more about sounds, but of course you do. When you write first, if you write it with a U, if you've written it or you've seen it very often, you know there's something wrong here. Let me try something different. Okay. Nurse, same thing. Works. Obviously, the of works, what has to be at the beginning of the word? Whoa. all right? And I see that pattern. With the word early, there are very few words that have the of early. I'm going to finish your list with all the ers of early that I know. You may know some other ones, and I'd be happy for you to tell me what they are. But I'll have to change my sentences if you do. But we're going to use the ones that you have. And so under rehearse, I want you to write the word hearse. We follow the hearse to the cemetery. It doesn't mean to not rehearse one time. And that word, don't write it without helping you write it. That word, first of all, you're going to have to be meaning, right? And it's often mispronounced. I hear adults saying hearse. There's no word hearse, unless you're talking about grandma. Okay? Hearse. When you write it, help me write this one, boys and girls. And you write. You write, tell me what to do. What are the sounds? Next sound. And we talked about which one. What's the next sound again? Who wants to tell me what goes on the end? I would have done this one with my fingers. Definitely. Okay? You look like yours, so I didn't do that. Here's me. Here's hers. Tell me the sounds, what to do. Underline, help me. C. Underline twice, and I'm going to write what job? Make sure your 5 is clear. Yes?
Do you want us to underline paragraph with the
Oh, I want you to do it.
Okay.
If you did underline it, I would do that. We're just going to add these words and then go back and take care of it. On the next line, under curse, I want you to write Earl. And Earl is a friend of the king, some part of nobility in England. Instead of a duke, he's an earl. We don't have to talk about it. You write Earl. What's the first time you hear? Earl. We're going to use the word early. Next down, all right? Write Earl on the paper. Excuse me?
Is it a title?
It doesn't have to be. I can say I saw the Earl.
Okay.
Just like I saw the king, I saw the queen. If I say I saw Earl Joe, yes, you capitalize it. Yeah, it doesn't have to be capitalized. All right. Earl. On the next line, I want you to write yearn. I yearn for, yearn. Tell me the sounds on your fingers. Yeah. Make sure you're explaining the meanings of those words. I yearn for it. I really, really want it. And have some of them, a couple of students give you a sentence, but we're going to be doing all the sentences soon. Go ahead and write yearn in your book. I will be writing it with you in my book or on the board. Now, on the next line, we're going to write dirt. There was a dearth of food in Africa. Dearth. Scarcity, not enough of something, okay? We don't have a dearth of toys. We have a dearth of some kind of a natural resource. We have a dearth of water. And tell me the sounds in dirt. First sound? There's my herb early. Okay? Now, as you go ahead and write it. Dirt. All right. When you do these words, did you all go across the page the way we started and do one at a time, right? We went across. I noticed in a few books yesterday, some of you were trying to just write the words and then go back later and mark and write it. So you're not going to internalize what's happening if you do that. You need to be someone say it, or you listen to it, you hear it somehow, and you write it so that you can learn it the way your student will, and you're going to learn it better that way. Make sure that that's the way you're doing it. As you went across the list, you noticed you ran out of work, you ran out of space on something. That's fine. if I were doing this list, I would go straight across her and then straight across for her, all the way across the page, right down here to worship. That's okay, see if they're listening. Then I'd go to the earth her, then the earth first, then the earth her. So let's skip over and do the earth early, the words I've added, until you run out of space. So that they're listening, this is the column that you're in anyway. Okay. These words that are the earth early, again, are the only ones that I know. So I'm going to memorize these words in a sentence. But first, class, we're going to go through and mark these words in red. The way you will do this, you're going to add all the words to your book, which should look like this. No marks are in it except black marks, right? In Durham, you would have underlined it. But as you go across now, I would say, student by student, go around the room. First student gives you a sentence for her. And it needs to be a full thought. If you're in 5th grade, I would let them just get by if I know her. Okay? I saw her at the market, so that doesn't have to be a complex sentence. It just has to have a little bit of thought about it so that you know what the word means. The word birth in here, for instance, I had a child who was going through giving me a sentence for every single one, oral sentence, not a written sentence. And he said, I have a birth in my backyard. I said, no, honey, a birth is a form of, it's a bed, it's on a boat, or it's in a train, you know, that would be a birth. I said, well, they did. They're very well-to-do family, and they had a railroad car, and the backyard was the playhouse. So he did have a birth in his backyard. But if you start hearing that they're just using the word and it gives you no meaning, you probably don't know the meaning. So help them get to the meaning as you go around. As you do it, and we'll do a few of these. As you do it, let's start with the word her. And then I'm going to pretend we're in this class. Go ahead and say the word her. What I want you to do is say, her, I saw her at the market, that's my sentence. Now at this point, underline her and say her. Her, I saw her at the market, everybody say her. Her. And just underline the her in red. Okay? Go to the next one. The word is first. Next person. Go ahead.
This is my first one.
Okay. First. So everybody say first. If you say you underline it. Okay? And it's first. Go ahead, next word. Okay. My aunt was a nurse and took care of people. Nurse. And everybody say as you mark. The point is that tactile, you're still saying the sound as you mark it. Okay? But you're going through every single word, identify the vocabulary, and mark it together with that sound. Does that make sense? Okay, and you'll complete the whole page that way. I'm not going to go through the whole page. But think about what that child would say. Works. He works for a large company. When you mark the here, you're only going to remember, you're going to mark 2 letters. Underline only that in red. Go ahead. And then early, I was up early this morning. The sound is You're going to say it where you're going to say the syllables, and you're going to say this, but as you're saying that sound, that's when you're marking it together. So that's just a process of going through it. Oh my gosh, there are 5 ways to spell All right? Now, back to the ones in early. I want to give you 2 goofy sentences to memorize, and they like the sentences, not that they do, that have all of the spellings of earth. All yearns for an earnest search in the hearse for the pearl. The Earl yearns for an earnest search in the hearse for the pearl. 3rd grader goes, what? Okay, well, 5th grader, you do, okay? So you're going to talk about it. What Earl means, he's the king's friend. He yearns for something. He really wants something. The king gave him this beautiful pearl ring, and he's lost it. He was on the way to cemetery, he lost it in the back of the hearse, and now he can't find it. He wants you to help find it. He doesn't want you to go in and say, nope, not there. He yearns for an earnest search. You must try really hard to find this pearl. Now you paint a picture, okay? The Earl yearns for an earnest search in the hearse for the pearl. Now, when you write a sentence, you would never mark a writing syllable, ever, okay? So we're going to write that sentence, and I want you to do it after you skip one line under dirt. You have dirt, skip a line, and we're going to use this part of your book. Does everybody see? Okay. Under the early, okay, there's dirt. You're going to skip a line, and here we're going to write the sentence across. Okay, mine's back, so I'll do it so you can see exactly what it would look like in your book. So, we're going to write the Earl yearns. Excuse me? Yes, you'll take the full page. So let me see that one. The Earl yearns for an earnest search. Say what you're writing, please. What you're writing is the Earl yearns for an earnest search. Which must be and before the vowel sound verb. These are all vowel sounds. In the hearse, teach it in pieces with the prepositional phrases. In the hearse for the pearl. Okay. Yes?
What kind of guidelines would you give your students for where to start their sentence or end it?
It's going to be indented just a little bit, since we're writing a sentence. We haven't been indenting my words, it's not indented, okay? The sentences would be. In your first graders, you're not going to write a sentence. You're not even going to write it on the chart, okay? All right. The third grading as well, all right? The Earl yearns for an earnest search in the hearse for the pearl. Your table should be cleared off except for your notebook. Okay, read the sentence that you have. The Earl yearns. I'd like everybody to read it this time. The Earl yearns for an earnest search in the hearse for the pearl. Read it again, please. The Earl yearns for an earnest search in the hearse for the pearl. Close your book. Tell me what it says. The Earl yearns for an earnest search in the hearse for the pearl. You already. Okay, it's not like they will forever, but that's when you have to repeat it. Okay? Why did I ask you to memorize that sentence? What's the point of that sentence? You tell me with the raise of hands. Yeah. Yeah, it's a reminder for you. It's not for anybody. But, as you notice, it doesn't have all the herbs of early that you need. So I have to give you another group of sentence. All right? The other one says, I heard you learned about the early rehearsal to earn money for the earnest search of food. I heard you learned about the early rehearsal to earn money for the earnest search of food. Our school, grade six, found out that in a very small country in Africa, they need food. They run out of food, they're running out of money. We're going to have a fundraiser. We're going to have a play. And that money will all go to help take care of those people, all right? Would you like to be in the play? We have an early rehearsal, we have a late rehearsal. Okay? I heard you learn about the early rehearsal to earn money for the earth's dearth of food. after we have the earth, right? So I heard you learn about the early rehearsal to earn money for the earth's dirt. Okay? Yes. Right. Write it on the paper. And I'll show you what it looks like to get stuff. I heard you learned. You won't be showing it to them because you're going to be writing at the same time. So you're going to have to say, I heard you learned. About the early rehearsal to earn money for the earth's dirt of food. And you have to explain why this apostrophe is here. The food of the earth, the dirt of the earth. When I teach the apostrophe, possession, I don't talk about singular possessive and plural possessive because eyes glaze over. But if I use the words of the, then I can get them there. The dirt of the earth. The boy's toys. Toys of the boy, or it could be toys of the boys, what meaning you're trying to relate. And all you do is put an apostrophe after the word you're talking about. I don't have to remember apostrophe S, S apostrophe. Just find the word with the apostrophe. So when you have, if you're going to write a word that has the verb early in it, boys and girls, you have two helpers. Is it one of those crazy sentences? Dirt, oh yeah, is that one of those sentences you need to memorize? Okay, the earth's dirt of food. Read the sentence to me. I heard
About the early rehearsal to earn money for the earth's dirt of food.
Close your books, tell me again.
I heard you learned about the early rehearsal to earn money for the earth's dirt of food.
Okay, open your books, let's mark it. We're only going to call attention to those early that are in there. So we're going to write the yearns, or an earnest search in the verse for the pearl. I'm going to mark that as you're saying the sentence aloud. The earl yearns, for an earnest, search, in the verse, for pearl. And then again with this one, I heard, you learned, about the early, rehearsal, to earn, money for the earth's, dirt, And maybe you can say it aloud. I'm going to use it. All right. Okay. Any questions about page 2? Yes.
On your earth apostrophe S,
Yes.
is your H, are your H and S connected?
Yes, they are. Always. When you look at a spelling book that was made in the last 20 years, you would see it not connected. And so what some teachers think is that it's not supposed to be connected. That's because the font that they use to make the book is not connected. It was always connected. The only time you do not connect when you're writing an apostrophe with your S, you're writing the word don't, you would not disconnect between N and T. The only time you do is in the word o'clock. Contractions are made of two words, and leave out one vowel sound to make one word. And it's typically a one-syllable word, don't. Even couldn't only has one vowel. All right? So we write don't, and then we have to go back to the apostrophe and show we mentally down that vowel, or that letter, whatever that letter might be. Okay? So thank you for asking that, but that's where that apostrophe would go and you don't have to disconnect. The word o'clock, if I say don't, if I wrote a note to you and say don't come at 2 o'clock, don't, I would have connected. O'clock, I would not. I'll be clock to 3 words. Clock in 2 syllables. So I do disconnect. I don't know that there's another word on that. You have to disconnect. Write it, go back and prove what you do.
So only o'clock is the
Yes.
only one you disconnect.
Because it's on the clock. And for 3 words to make it 2 syllables. Okay. Did anybody notice, did everybody write your, let's go back to page 1. Did you write your heading on page 1 for the silent final reads? Since we're talking about apostrophes. Did you do that? No? All right, I'm not going to ask you to do it now. I'm going to take the time to do it. I still need for you to do it. But your paper, your heading, you have time, have, blue, chance, charge, little, and R. So you have a brace now. On the line with have in blue, you're going to write silent, your capital letter that you now know. Not in syllables, the silent, dot, and then cross, final, and a little more space because I'm going to write silent, final. I'll have to talk about silent, we've already written the word silent in the top of the page, so I don't have to teach that one. Final, I would, but now. Silent, final, E's. Why do I put an apostrophe there? Something belong to the E? There's one.
Job. The job.
It's a job?
The job belongs to me.
No, good idea, but yes? It would make it less confusion. But if I said to you, I want you to circle on your paper all of the dollar signs. I would do this. That's the instructions that come with it. Or I would say, put a box around all of the 8s. It's a symbol for what we know is saying. E is a symbol for what we know is at 8. That's why we do it. Okay? Everybody in the class got A's. A. Okay? All right? It's because it's that symbol. It's not always taught, but you need, it's a different reason to use an apostrophe. Okay?
Is this
Right.
where you're doing time, math, chance?
Excuse me?
Is this on the first
Page
page?
1. Page 1. We're at the bottom of the page. You have time, have chance, charge, little, R. To the side of the silent languages. Yes. Yes.
Question about step 4.
Yes.
Briefly.
Okay, can you tell me what a job word means?
No.
Okay. All right. If I write the word little, he's a nice little boy. How many syllables do you have? What are they? Okay, I want you to write lit instead of lit. You heard again, okay? But that's what you heard, okay? Lit, I need for you to write lit. What's the next sound you hear? Lit and then told. Lit, told. I know it's supposed to be told, okay? Lit is what I'm going to write. What's the next sound? Told. Old. Okay, that's all I hear. Do you hear anything else? No. What's my vowel sound in lit? It. When I look at my next syllable, is t a vowel? Is l a vowel? No. Every syllable must have a vowel. Okay? And if you want to make a note of this, I might do this with 5th graders. I think there's a lot of students, and for your own education, if you want to do it on the page where you wrote those final E's, actually it's in the pink book, or you can do it here. There are only 10 consonants that butt up against that bowl and produce that pulse to make a syllable. Only 10. But that 4th job of E we're talking about, usually it's the L with the E. And I can think of a another consonant that it also works with. But generally, that L. So, as in the word bubble, I would have the. When I write uncle, I have coat. I could have dole as in bottle. Dole. I could have full as in waffle. I could have gold as in giggle, gaggle. Okay? I could have cold as in uncle. I mean ankle. Whole as in apple. Soul as in hassle. Toll as in whittle. Or zol as in puzzle. Those are the 10 consonants that would be next to the whole for the word jargon. Muscle? Well, that's this, but muscle is a whole different problem. The SC together is actually one, as it is in accent, okay, or science. But in muscle, we have the separate, and that's the, it's all there. It's in muscle. But uncle, definitely pretty unexpected. But it says in your word, okay, it's because it's in the word. Okay? All right, those are the 10 consonants. You will never see RLE, MLE, we can't spell camel, MLE, okay? We will never see MLE, NLE, QULE, whatever. There are only 10 consonants for that. You want to make a note of that, that's great. Mrs. Spalding will be. Yes.
Small handwriting question. In your, I heard you learned
Yes.
the loop isn't very clear in learn and teach.
No, it isn't. I want you to do a better job.
That's, I mean, how much emphasis should there be on those loops?
As much as you can put up, okay? We can't overemphasize how important the handwriting is. And you are the model for your best handwriting. That role is not my best work. Okay? Yes, no. But that, I'm not going to change it right now. Okay? But no, that's okay. And if your students point that out, they're paying attention. That's all. Good. You can, well, we're all 6 months. Whatever. Okay? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Now, I want to move to I am still going to give you a written vocabulary review, but I can't do it while people are going in now. So I want you to go to page 4 in your notebook. And keep in mind, I'm going to spend a lot of time these next day and tomorrow just trying to get through these pages in your notebook because there's so much teaching to them. And I will be seeing you at least every other week to preview things with you, but I can't go through this whole thing with you in one of our class level meetings. We could be talking about it, but I won't be able to do it as extensively as I am here. I will be going through your words and your list with you, word by word, to help you better understand the content or if you have questions about how to teach it. Keep in mind though too, when you're doing your work in your school, stay with your other class level people. It's going to help them. What did you find that you don't understand, or what you find is interesting? Make sure you're always on the same page for literally that you're all doing the same work. Okay? Don't just take off and well, I'm over here and he's over here. But that's why I'm spending all this time on the notebook. It's information that you need, and you need it in your knowledge base, right? Okay. On the word, on the page 4, at the top of the page, you see the word hope, right? Below the word hope, you should skip one line. And I will tell you that I wrote a skip one line, and I completed 3 columns. You'll see there's more than what you did last time with the herbs. I didn't skip one line under the first column, and I had to redo the entire page because this is called. I'm not nearly as picky as she is. You didn't think I'm really honoring today, okay, if you looked at your notebooks. But I need for your standards to be so high that you know what to look for with your children. You want their standards to come up to the top. You're saying, that's pretty good. That's where they'll stay. Okay? All right. Under the of hope, or under hope, there is no okay. Under hope, I want you to skip one line, and I want you to write the word come. As teachers, show me how to do come on your fingers. You know, there's an E. And at this point, even 3rd grade, I don't have to show them on my fingers to do that. I just want you to still be demonstrating, okay? You don't have to show them how to do come. They know how to do come, I hope. If they don't, they can look at your book and say, oh, look at that. I spelled it the way I used to in 1st grade. Skip one line and write the word come. We're not going to mark anything. We're not going to mark any of the silent E's in the words we're going to write in the next 2 minutes. Come. Say the sounds. Ah. All right. We know what's the job of this E? No job, so we're not marking it right now. Okay? Below it, on the next line, I want you to write fierce. There's a fierce wind that came through the town. Tell me the sounds. E, so this here you go. E, this is E-I-F. Somebody in 5th grade maybe if they will tell you that. 3rd grade, I'm going to tell them, I need for you to use E-I-F, fierce. E-er, this, boys and girls, means an E. We all know what it is. As I said, it needs an E. That's how I speak to them. I don't say write C. Or write the 3rd geography. I say use this and use that E. Okay? Fierce. Write fierce below come. Say sounds. E. Okay. Let's go to the beginning to mark. First sound. E. Underline E-I-N. Next sound. Why did I have an E in this word? You can tell me by raising hands. Yes? I would prefer that you said to me the K sounds. Okay? Good. On the next line, I want you to write right. Write your name on the paper. First sound. 3rd grader, you might want to hold up your fingers and make sure they're all going to write 2 letters for that. Right. First sound. I. Do I mark it right now? No, because it's going to show me the job of the E. E was here to help you. I say I, and that one. All right? We're going to mark it in there. On the next line, show me on your fingers, teachers. How do I write the word change? Did you change your mind? First sound. Change. Is it change? Listen to what you hear. Change. I hear A. You hear A? Okay, let's start again. First sound. A. Let's do it again. A. Okay, what do you want to tell me? Why? What was the first sound? Next sound? A. How's that going to happen? Is it at the end of the syllables? Are we going to use 2 letters for A? The A is the problem, okay? The A needs to say A. That's why I need to all right? Now, since I know I have to add that E, I can use the get the change digit, all right? You okay with that? So you always, the beginning of the word, that's the one that needed it. The JIT is using it, but that's not its job. The job is to let the A say it, yes.
How come we're not thinking of the as something?
Do you hear Do you say chain? Okay? As teachers, as adults, you already know how to spell these words. So you're trying to think what's in the word, what's the next letter I write. When you finally get to the point, and it will happen, keep with this, that you're actually hearing the sounds and writing what you're hearing. Ta-da! Okay? Until you're not quite there yet. Some of you may be. I remember the first time that it happened to me. For a long time, I remembered exactly what it was in the notebook. But I didn't go in. I said, okay, she wants me to say this side. She wants me to say this side. Let's see, there's the answer. And say, okay, no. You actually listen to the sounds, so you're actually reading what the system is trying to help you with. So now, if the vowel says its name, how did that happen? What am I going to do about it? Okay? Go ahead and write change in your book. A, help me, A. Yeah, back to the beginning, first sound. Next sound. A. How does it say A? Silent final. J. Nothing else to mark. On the next line, I want you to write serve. What did they serve for dinner? Okay? That would be job one. I'm not marking it yet. Okay. Serve. What did he serve for dinner? Sounds? We know which it is. This class knows which it is because we did page 2. Okay? We haven't done page 2. And you may not do it in the same order I'm doing it. It's according to where you need it in the notebook. I will give you a paper that says exactly what your grade level will do it. Yes?
Could you explain why we're not marking the jobs for the E's to cement always writing, finishing writing?
I'm going to show you when you stop. Soon as you're done. Not very anymore. How many sounds is serve? And I'm delighted if you want to mark it. Okay. So why is there an E? English words do not end with V. What job is that? Job 2, great. On the next line, we're going to write desire. No, we're not. We're going to write nerve. I didn't have the nerve to tell me. Tell me the sounds. Beginning. Why did you want me to write an E? Okay. English words do not end with V. I don't even have to know that right now, right? They don't end with a V. What job again is that? On the next line, I want you to write desire. Before you write desire, what do you have to tell me? What are my syllables, right? Make the syllables first. You should be doing it actually. As you're going, if you only ask about syllables, especially when you're in first, second, you start getting multi-syllable words. If you only ask how many syllables there are, they know it's not one. That's the only time you ask. So if you ask every time, where they tell you nerve, there's your syllable right there. You don't have to say my syllable is nerve. And then find your sounds. Okay. Desire. Tell me your syllables. Desire. Let's do that on your fingers. First sound. How does my E say E?
It's a syllable.
So you may say E at the end of a syllable. And at this point, you probably wouldn't have to be asking that. I'm asking because you've only been here for 2 days. Okay. Desire. Next sound. I. Why E? I means that way, say I, right? Your question about whatever that word was. There it is. And then instead of writing desire, it is not desire. It is desire. Tire, fire, wire. One syllable. Not wire. Fire. We're all burned out right now. Fire. Okay? Desire. Okay. Yes?
So in those words, is there any confusion that it's another type of herb?
You hear another type of is that what you're saying? Okay. So, well, first of all, I'm going to show you that it's desire, it's two syllables. So if you're here and you want to write D-Z-I-R, is that what you're saying?
Kind of, well, also with tire and the other word.
Okay, all right, well, let's just do desire. Same thing applies for tire. Z-I, there's a back. I can't put two vowels in a syllable. Put one in a syllable. Every syllable needs a half. Okay, I have I and then we create a new syllable. I would have D, Zi, That's why you must tell me before you start. It is desire, it's a two-syllable word. Fire, one-syllable word. You're only going to have one vowel sound. I'm sure I hear the I sound. Not so sure about the Oh, I can't use another vowel, so I'll use a consonant. Now I have a little bit of I sound. Okay, that's a good question, and it's a elevated question because when we say when we say so similar, but if you have some understanding of how the syllables work, it will tell you which one you're going to use. Do I need a vowel or not? If I need a vowel, use for first or syllable. If you don't, use a consonant.
So in reality, that is silent, we're just not the R, is not, the vowel sound is what you're saying, is what creates
The vowel sound is I, and the consonant is I. My problem is taking care of this I, so it can have a way to say I. Okay? The problem would happen to, if you wanted to write, your students would write produce, for instance. Produce, right? Produce. They do this. Oh, whoops, we have two vowel sounds. It's not going to work. Which one are you going to keep? Oh, so now you have okay? Pro. And we have one vowel sound. It's not produce, it's produce.
Right.
Yes?
I was just wondering, does the Spalding method teach the concept of songs? Like,
We don't use those words. We don't have to.
okay.
We're teaching it right now. We do it all the time. Okay? We just don't use the term. Okay? Because, I mean, really, I have to go think about it. From the digraphic, that's a question that came up yesterday. Do we teach the ST together and do worksheets with the ST? No, we know do it, write start, okay? We know so write street or street. We don't have to teach 10 different words that have those in it because we taught those sounds separately, okay? All right. So we don't have to say, okay, this is a blend now. We're going to blend it as we're reading it anyway. We're blending it every day. But we don't have to point out that, oh, now we have this particular family. Okay? All right. On the next line then, let's write desire. First syllable. Desire, thank you. Okay. And where do we go, class? Beginning, what's your first, I want to always say, you want them to, you want that rhythm going. You're not quite there yet. That's what you're aiming for. So that you're immediately going through this. You're not having to prod them all the way along, yes?
Or the spaces between syllables.
There are no spaces in cursive. There are in manuscript.
Okay, so manuscript is a space in the circle, but in cursive is just like
You pick up and start again, yes. Okay. And did you notice that I dotted my I? Now I'm going back. Don't wait till go. It's not a mark. It's back to your handwriting. It's immediately after you finish the syllable. Tell me the sounds of desire to mark. The E, underline, Z, I, and why did I need an E? On the next line, I want you to write settle. It's time to settle down. Syllables. Set, told. What's this? What vowel? What am I using here? Silent final E. Why is it there? By a raise of hands, who wants to tell me why I need to say yes?
Each syllable needs a vowel.
Every syllable needs a vowel. It was not a vowel, it was not a vowel. I need to. What job is that, class? Right, settle. How many syllables? Set. Everybody should be saying set. write ease. He did his work with ease. And they may not know what that means, but they know what easy means. Okay, it wasn't difficult, he did it with ease. I felt ill at ease at a party, I didn't know anybody. Not comfortable, ease. Tell me the sounds. I'm using E-A-A. And then this has a no job E. You don't want it to look like more than one something, right? It has a no job E. Did you notice I told you all the way through what we're going to use? I don't expect third graders to know how to write that word. E, use E-A-A. It has a no job E. On the next line, write ease. Beginning. E,
Underline.
two, and then E. What job was it again? What number would that be?
5.
Okay, on the next line, I want you to write rehearse. We just did this word on your other page. Rehearse, first syllable. Rehearse. Why is there an E on the end? No job. Job one. Okay. Beginning for sound. We. Okay? All right. Now, get your references out. We're going to go back to the beginning of these words, just these words, and we're going to mark those jobs we talked about for the silent time reading. All right? When you wrote code, what job is it? Hold on. What does that mean? Why did we add it in here? Let the O say O, so we're going to underline the O, consonant, silent, final E. My line started at the down line. I did not go through it, it started at the down line. I only underlined the letter, not the upswings, not the free-hanging dip, just the letters. And we, the mantra is vowel, consonant, silent, final. They, vowel, consonant, the two consonants. Okay. On the next line, we're going to write, we have written come. Say the sounds only, this time we're going to mark the E. E, how do I mark it? 2 lines. And what number? 5. It has no job. Already said come. Come. When you teach that word, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, make sure you're saying it good. Ah, come, father. On the next line, fierce, why is there an E? By a raise of hands, who can tell me why we have an E there? Yes. Yes, but if you make it say, not the cut, okay? You let it say, all right? Okay. Underline the letter that needed it, 2 lines under your E. That's just. On the next line, we'll be writing right. Let's go through it. Tell me what to do. I, underline, E, underline. Vowel consonant E. Let the I say it. On the next line, change. Why do we need an E? We've already talked about it. Remember? Let's the A say A. A, underline, is the next sound. The next sound is J, and then the silent final E. Do we have in this word? We're not on our phonogram search. We're not going to just underline something that looks like a phonogram. We're saying the sound to figure out what it's saying in this word. Okay? A, J. Yes. Yeah. It's usually vowel consonant E, 1 consonant in between. This time there have to be 2. Haste, haste. It have to mark the stand. A, consonant, consonant E. Yes?
Does this E also make the good say?
It allows the gut to say J, but I already got it. I have to be able to vowel say its name. So it's my clue to know which J I could use. Because I know I have to write an E, so I'm going to use the gut and say J, since I have the E in. What should be marked? First thing that happened, okay. First thing that happened, not because it's job one, but because it happened first. I have to take care of that, and that allows me to know the objectives. Okay, make sense? On the next line, we're going to write serve. Why is there a need? Right, raise your hands. Yes?
English words do not end in
So in English words are in B, so I'm going to underline the B, 2 lines under the E, job 2. Okay? B in your job 2, there it is under here. Nerve, job 2 again. I'm going to mark it. Desire, I would not like to do this in the classroom, but we're going to get through these. Vowel, consonant, T, T lets the I say I. In settle, why is there an E? Okay, if I raise your hand, who wants to tell me? Yes? Every syllable means vowel, job? In ease, who can tell me why there's an E at the end of this word? Yes? Pardon me? No job, E. Okay, there are 5 kinds of E. They each have a job, except this guy has no job. Is that no job E? Okay, be careful with that because I have children tell me, well, it's because it's a silent final E. Yes, it is. So it's this, or this, or that, or that. They're all silent finals. But this one has no job. Okay? Watch your terms. So we'll put 2 lines because it's silent and a on the next line, rehearse, no job E, right? Okay. I want you to skip 1 line, and I want you to go to the second, well, first of all, let's just go to the second column of this page. We're going to column 2, and now skip 1 line. On the next line, we're going to write a series of information here. We're going to make 3 columns out of it. It'll be very short, but we're going to make 3 columns. So first one, remember your margin is at the fold. So what we're going to do, obviously before we go on, what all these words have in common? They're all job assignment. Make sure you point that out for somebody who's back there sleeping and not installing the one, right? Those all have some commonality, right? Okay. And they should have told you that. If they didn't tell you, you should have. All right, skip 1 line, and we're going to write an ending now that we could add to words that says ing. I could write humming, talking, skipping, anything. Ing is often an ending or a suffix that we add to the end of a base word. Change the meaning a little bit. In this case, it's not a really defined meaning except for an added phrase. It is an ending because we add to this to any word or many words, especially verbs. Right? Ing. If. Go back and mark. If. Below it, I want you to write as in writer, or as in server. Can be a person, but it could also could be prettier. Okay? Has 2 meanings. It's the her. We're going to add that in the and mark it. Below on the next line, let's get our installer position back. On the next line, I want you to write a 3. And beside it, I want you to write ed. You can tell me what ed does to the meaning of the word if I use it as an ending. I raise it. Yes. It's in the past, and you'll have to explain that to your students, right? Ed. And you're going to mark it because it's also a fundraiser. Right? So any of those things, it gives us meaning. If there's a particular meaning, you want to write that in your book, it's great to me. That edit has to go. I'm going to try to pass things to no. On the next line, we're going to write the ending est. Funniest, biggest. Est compares things. And what does est mean? Can you tell me what est would mean? Was it big and biggest? Yes. Sorry? Okay, but I doubt if that's what the third grade is. You're right, it's superlative, so they would put a superlative in the highest degree. Okay, most of all is something, right? The most of all. So below, edit, right, est. And if you've been studying very superlative, definitely, you want them to tell you that. Yes. On the next line, we're going to, I put in a little dot because those have specific meaning. Okay? I'm sure you can talk about specifically what they mean. Below it, I want you to write the ending it, as in puppet, as in easy. Okay? It. It. On the line below that, I want you to write owl, as in person, as in final. Owl. Owl. But it is not all. It is owl when you treat it as a name. Owl. Another mark is all. Okay? Owl. On the next line, I want you to write the ending N, as in tighten, write it, N. Change it. N. On the next line, write the ending or. We saw in off or, okay, so it's not off, but or in the person, visitor, doctor, senator, governor, or in the person. Now, we're going to make column 2 beside king. It's up on that. Okay. Beside king, we're going to write another ending. We're going to write the ending is, as in notice or service. Tell me the sound you hear in the ending is. First sound? It needs an E. Add an E. This letter needed. Does everybody know what to write for that? That is. First sound in. Next sound, what do? Underline. And this is job. On the next line, I want you to write the ending ish. Ish can mean sort of, kind of. It's reddish. I'll be there at 8ish, sort of. I had a lady, my whole day, she says, so I'm Jewish, I'm sort of Jew. Polish? No. It can mean sort of, okay, ish. There we see sh at the end of the syllable. That's the one we use at the beginning of the word or at the end of the syllable. I'm sure that's what they're writing. On the next line below that, we're going to write the ending age, as in package or baggage. Age. Any sounds? Okay, and I need, why do I need a need here? Makes the A say so not. You're saying your sounds as your below age, I want you to skip one line. And we're going to write the ending ant, as in occupant, ant. as in distant. The base word is not dist, but the root is. Okay? Occupy is the base word, but we change it. Important. We're going to take this ant and change it to its partner. If I write ant is an important plan, what part of speech is important? Adjective. We're going to turn it into an adjective. We're going to take ant, and we're going to say it's of great importance. Ants. I'm changing it just because of the part of speech. And that's what happens many times with these idioms when you're talking about them. Put it as part of your grammar lesson. Teach the grammar as you go. Right? I think we need to hit it while it's there. Right? Ant changes to ants. Show me on your fingers how to write ants because your children don't know. So with the sounds, ah. Yes, the difference is, so yes, that's what they think. But it's, watch out, it's the sticky. There is more than one ant, more than one important when we say importance. Okay. So we're going to use ants, it has that third job of being. Ants, above ants. Market and grace. Those are partners. If you know how to write distant, partner tells you how to write distance. If you know how to write important, you can now write importance. You would not use any other vowel than the one you've already used. Okay? Because sometimes you will write an ending that says S. It looks like ants, but the vowel sound. Below ant, write the ending S. Persistence, S. We show persistent. Persist, verb, persistence makes an name, right? S, with the ending S. And in the grammar, you can see that those endings, I don't have to always know what the word even is, but if I can identify the base word, now I can identify the part of speech, I'm getting a better clue about what that word means. So talk about it. Ants, tell me your sounds. And you do that. If I write ants as an ending, persistence, if I am persistent, now I know what to write for ants. I wouldn't use ant. Ants and ant are partners, right? Ant. Say something. Ants and ant are partners, ants and ant. There will never be O-N-T, U-N-T, I-N-T. This is your choice. I haven't figured out yet whether you use this one rather than this one. But at least I've cut it down to all two choices. It's either going to be the E or it's going to be the A. In order for me to know in admittance that it's an A, but in occurrence it's an E, I've had to study that way. Okay? I only have these two choices, but I have to know one of them is an A or another is an E. Okay? But at least I've narrowed it down to that. You get that? But make sure they understand these are together, yes?
I was just wondering if there's a rhyme or reason to ask if you know why.
Yes.
Is that
I gave you this one first, ant, because it's easier. Then I talked about its partner. Okay? Because I don't think you can write ants until you know ants.
Oh, I understand that. I was just wondering why you would write ant first and then somebody just would have been on additional confusion kind of sticking the line.
Well, there have to follow directions for one thing. But also, no, I don't have a really good reason, except that's the way it is. You could have an and have a partner, now we're going to write one similar. I didn't go in the same order. Okay? I want you to be listening to what I'm saying all the time. If I have you write and you come down here and write they're really not focusing on what you're talking about. That's the best I can do, keeping it the way I did it. But I didn't choose this order. This is the order that's in your book. This is the order that Mrs. Spalding used too. I don't think there's a better reason than not. Maybe we should talk about the answer. But usually, when you see those braces or brackets in your text, in the writing, reading, the written vocabulary, the first word in that bracket or brace is the word that you're really trying to teach. It's the word that was from maybe the original Ayers List, maybe from the Colville Dictionary. The words below it are to help you get there. And they're usually something that will help you understand better the word that was on top. Sometimes it's just like when you think back about Bob, it's just to point out that the meaning can completely change because you change the back. All right? But the first word in the list was the one you're trying to teach. When we talk about reviewing, which we will do on Friday, you have to go back to a section of review and actually find out, do you remember these words, because your assessments are not working like you do. I would only ask you to review the first word in that bracket and not the entire list. To do the first one of that brace and bracket. All right, on the next line, after and, we're going to write the ending as in houses, horses, as. What does as mean? And we're going to make a third column. So far we have as that I know the meaning of. I know ish means sort of or kind of. And I want to be sure I remember those meanings. The other ones aren't as easily defined. They're changed from one class to another. The next one that I do has a specific meaning. I want to write the ending us as in dangerous. Okay? Dangerous, mountainous. Us means full of danger, full of mountains, okay? Full of, it has a specific meaning. When we say us, what's the first sound that you write? What's the first sound you hear? You need to use ow, o, u, and then s, right? There's no e on the end. Some people want to do that. It's not just and you know your phonogram, just write us. I should hear you right. Underline 4. The method of going back and saying the sounds and marking, or telling how you mark it, hasn't changed. Still need to be in there. We're going to adopt because that one is a very specific meaning. And you're going to see why that's so important. You know what that ending means. On the next line, we're going to write the ending is, as in artist. What does is mean? Yes, job. Okay, so my husband's an artist, so he's a job. The job of that person. It's a person who knows about art, right? Okay, the cellist is a person who knows about the cellist. Okay, the physicist, person who knows about physics, person. Okay, when you see is at the end of the word, it's your clue that it's a person who knows about something. Okay, whatever that, find that face or a dentist knows about dental. Okay, so it takes you back. I can see me pissed. Dot first, then cross. I'm making a dot beside it because I was waiting for that's person. On the next line, we're going to write the ending able, as in responsible. Okay, so response ending is ed, full, the full, fourth job, right? Ed, full. Okay, you should write it in your book. 2 syllables, ed, full. Say it. Ed, beginning. Ed, do I mark it? No, it's okay for it to say ed. The full E is a good job. If we can do able, we can do able. Able, as in, I said my face was over. As in, probable, see, but it's really not probable. Excuse me? All right, workable, like that, serviceable. Okay. Able, able, again, fourth job, able. Able, beginning, A, do I mark it? Yes, underline it. The full, saying is fourth job. I'm not worried that I don't have a place to write my rule. You know, what the rule is, it's okay. And then my line tells me. If I can write able, I can write a lit. A lit. If I can write probable, now I can write probably. Most children cannot spell probably. But they can spell probably. Able, a couple, it is now for a lit. Right? A lit. A lit. They said a couple, it, and what? Erase those two are perfect. We could have written ibly. I became responsible. Ibble and ibly, able and able. These are the L's too. And again, when you know all the L's, you're not going to end the word with you. There's no going to be bugle, ogle, not evil. This is your choice. Either the I or the A. That's it. In here, to know which one, you have to study the word. I've seen so much that you can recall that was it. But these are the only two that work. Okay? On the next line, we know ants, so we're going to write antsy, as in occupancy. We know occupant is ant, so now I can write occupancy. I have ant, now I have and sit. Antsy, okay? Means that, doesn't it? Followed by a Y, or it says, okay? And sit. Right, and sit. And for some, I don't have to mark this. All I have to do is look at the next letter and so next to that is an E-R-Y, so I know it's okay. I don't have to mark it. I'm looking at it. I can see it's okay. It's and sit. Okay. On the next line below antsy, we know ants. You can write NC, presidency. President, and now I can write presidency. NC. Okay, write NC. And sit. So I don't have to go through and teach that one. I'm just talking about it. When we talk about NC. Okay, now boys and girls, we've written a whole list of endings, suffixes, if that's your preference. I always say endings. Right to the, I can't say beginnings for prefixes, I just say prefixes. But what do all of these endings have in common? Look at them, and when you think you see something that's in common with each of those, hold up your hand. Yes? Every single ending we've written here begins with that. These are not the only endings you will ever need to know. There are many more endings you'll need to know. And when we need them, we'll use them. And there are many more that begin with a vowel. But there are also endings that don't begin with a vowel. If I write love, ing, my ending began with a vowel. But if I wrote love, live, it didn't begin with a vowel. Live meant, verb
I'm sorry, I was out when the dots got added.
That
Can you
should
show me what
be
those are for?
the meaning of those particular endings. So find a friend, and at break, they'll tell you what those meanings are. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. But they do have specific meanings. And it's a past tense, as most of all. Ish, sort of, kind of. As, more than one. Or, person. Is, person. Us, full of. Okay? Because we have about 7. Because they have, when you see them at the end of the word, they give a specific meaning. Okay? All right. Now, your friend said that all of those endings begin with a vowel. And the reason we're spending so much time with this is because if you're taking a base word and adding an ending that begins with a vowel, you're going to be careful. Because you might have to change the base word. You may not have to change it. But just in case you have to change it, you better be aware. Pay attention to those endings that begin with a vowel. Kindergartners are going to be writing all the sentences. Okay? You can help them through it. They have to recite it to you, but they have to understand. They're not too young to get an idea. When you have an ending that begins with a vowel, and you want to add it to a base word that has a silent final E, you're going to have to treat it a little differently than just sticking it on. You're going to write the base word without the silent final E if the ending begins with a vowel. It's that clear. It's that simple. Other spelling points, well, we're going to drop the E and add E. We're going to add ing. And that's the end of it. No, you do it every time. Any ending you have begins with a vowel. If your base word is with a silent final E. So to write hoping, which is not up here, but it's in your book. To write hoping, you know your base word is what? What is your ending? E. I'm going to write hope without the silent final E because my ending ing starts with a vowel. Okay? My base word is hope. I'm going to identify my base word. I'm going to identify my ending, and I'm going to say what I do every time. Not just for these words, but for every base word. If it's dogs, my base word is dog. My ending is you. I'm going to write dog, and that's it. I didn't have to change anything. Okay? We aren't only going to call attention to it when there's a change. We write base words with endings all the time. Kindergartners, go home and pick up any book on your shelf. There are no, you can't find more than, if you look at 3 pages, there are words there that have endings. Okay? We use base words and endings all the time. If you can understand how to add those endings, it's really powerful. So, for hoping, my base word is hope, my ending is ing. I must write hope without the silent final E because my ending ing starts with a vowel. I don't just write it without the E and add ing. I want to know why I had to do that. Why are you changing the base word? If you're changing the base word, you better be able to defend it. Okay? If I write hopes, my base word is everybody. Hope. My ending is I write hope. Do I change anything? No, it just says, okay? But if the ending began with a vowel, that's my reason. All right? Say it with me because we're going to be doing this over and over and over again. We're going to be doing it with class. To write hoping, my base word tell me, you're going to start with them saying my base word is, and you're going to say hope. My ending is ing. But as U.S. teachers, always you say the whole thing with me. My base word is hope. My ending is ing. I must write hope without the silent final E because my ending ing starts with a vowel. Don't worry, you're going to be able to dream this. You don't have to write it all down right now. You're going to say it again and again. I don't say I drop the E and add in. First of all, when a child tells me that, if he drops it, I'm going to pick it up because I'm not. I'll leave it here. No, we write it without the E. That's really what we do, right? And the reason we do it is because the ending begins with a vowel. Okay? Tell me once more and we'll write it. My base word is hope. My ending is ing. I must write hope without the silent final E because my ending ing starts with a vowel. Okay, let's write it. We're going to go to the column where we're going to take hope, pick up ing, and add it to it. So next to your margin, I want you to write the word hoping. You're not supposed to be looking, you're supposed to be writing.
Oh.
Okay. Hope. Next syllable, aim. Okay, go to the beginning for sound. O. How does this O say O? Pardon me, what did you say? What? Yes, you were smart enough to write hope without the E. I know you're smart enough to remember there wasn't. It's that silent final E in the base word that is still helping the O say O. It's not the I doing it. It's that silent final E for the base word. All right? First graders talk about angel E's, phantom E's, all kinds of E's floating around. It's still up there helping that vowel say its name. Okay? E can let that vowel say its name. It can only do job one. It can still help a vowel say its name even if we don't see it. So I don't have to mark it because I'm going to remember. There was an E there that helped it from the base word. Is everybody okay with that? It's okay. We have hope, ing. I'll have to mark my clue. That's the only thing I'm going to mark here. Beside hoping, we're going to write hoped. I hoped I would not do it. Hoped. Hoped. My base word is, my ending is what? So I write hope editor? No. Come here. Hope. My ending is, now I will use the phonogram edit to write that because I know it's past tense. Okay? But I want you and I want them to hear what you're going to write. Many of you wanted to say do. But if you say it out loud, it's easier to hear. Hope. Hope without the silent final E. Yes? And to begin with the vowel, right? My base word is, my ending is, I'm going to write hope without the silent final E because my ending starts with a vowel. How many syllables will I write? One, hoped. Okay? Just because you have an ending, and even though you have just because you have a base word, and even though you're ending with a vowel, it did not create a vowel sound. And the vowel sound is what creates the syllable. Okay?
Just explain
Yes.
that in one hand then?
Well, I held up two because I'm still talking about base word and ending. But before they write it, they're going to know it's going to be one syllable. I wouldn't write, no, I would not say hope and say it over here yet. I want to see that separate hidden within the hash. Okay, that help? All right, let's write hoped. O. Okay. Back to the beginning for sound. O, by raising hands, twice you say O. Yes. The silent E that was in the base word, right? Not this E. This E is not helping it at all. It is the silent final E in the base word. O, next sound. Okay, go after my, obviously not. Next sound is underline. Show me that it says as now, I would caution you. In your book, I'm not sure if that was, but anyway, when they wrote hoping, they would write it like I did. There's no mark. But as you go through your text, every now and then you will see they added an ending and seem to be partial to end it. Because now they're saying, he's letting the O say O, and now we have it. I don't think hope is any different than hope. So I'm going to I'm going to hope without the E. I still remember the E is in the front of this. Okay? When I tell you something that is different than your text, I'm not trying to slam the text. This text is your friend. It's the best resource that you have. But if I find something that I think we can tweak it and make it better, I'm gonna tell you that too. I'm not gonna hold it as my secret. I think it's a better way for your children to learn. Okay? Because I don't want, I'm not trying to say, oh, don't pay attention to that. No, you need it. You need your teacher's guide. We'll be talking about your teacher's guide. So you've all been reading in your teacher's guide. You should have read all of that assignment by tomorrow. Okay. Did you have a question over here? We'll go right.
So if the kids don't know that it's not, for example, off, so they only know that the O is assumed to say O because you're going to open.
We're spelling. We are spelling. If I ask you to write a code and they say hopped, they're not writing the word you asked them to. Okay? Keep in mind you're listening for the sounds. That's why you start at the base with O. Has to be a way for the O to say O. Has to be a reason to write it, to change it, or you can end it. Okay? So here we've written O without the silent final rate as it is. Now before you leave it, you have to be reading these words. You do that, read it for reading, read it for spelling, remember that? You'll do that after every lesson. You'll go back to old lessons and do it. So when they read it, they have to, oh, I only see, don't worry, come back to grade and I'll show you how to do it. Okay? But keep in mind all that you as adults and you as teachers who have had other ways to learn, you're used to being told what to do when you're reading. And that's great. There are a lot of tactics that you need when you're reading. But reading is much simpler than writing because you have something in front of you to try to gear you toward the right way, even if it's just the context, or especially when it's the context. But for spelling, you're pulling the sounds out of the air and having to figure out a way to get them on the paper. So it's, for most people, that's more difficult. That's why Mrs. Spalding put all of her attention in the writing way to get to the reading. Okay, we'll take a break. We'll start with
the only other thing I'm just actually is that usually sags, so it means that all of them will be a slightly different size. And that
I guess most importantly, I just want virtue. That's most important. If we can flip it, yeah. But yes, maybe matting's the way to go.
even if you could somehow get like a poster, just get a poster board and cut it up, and then set it on the poster boards.
Yeah. I was thinking of like, when I was thinking chipboard, I was thinking of like, getting you'd probably have to go to a coffee shop for this, but like something that's even thicker than cardstock. You could even have like a little bit of like flecks of color in it.
I do like chipboard. I've seen DIY crafts before.
Right.
It just took me a second to
Right.
remember it. Yeah, no, chipboard would work. I've only ever seen really boring chipboard.
I don't even know what it's like. Maybe I'm just thinking of like fancier.
I honestly, if it was printed on cardstock, a white cardstock, even set on the background with a white cardstock, or a different color cardstock, and then put on the wall. It would look great. I don't know if it has to be thickness necessarily. I mean, that would even look nicer potentially, but it has the edges and the edges. I mean, I don't know if it's necessary.
Just borrow it, just don't write it, and also sign it out.
Probably just flat.
Oh yeah, that would look nice. That would look really nice.
Matte around it. And if they want to go so far as frame it, and if it were a frame like that with black, I want to pay for it.
So, yeah, so I'm excited, but no, I think that's great.
No, that would look good. I had a question for you too. Speaking of the because you said chipboard, is each class going to have a set of white belts?
Individual seat whiteboards, not as part of the supplies that they give me. So I do, let's say, and I'm not going to grab
But then the thing was, everybody had their things and it was massage, it looked pretty sexy after the years of accumulating random sizes, because not everybody got stick size or frame. But every class always, and I've heard even here, for English it's for math it's for science. So it's something that would be helpful.
So, yeah, I'll look at, I'll see if we can.
If you're thinking about it, I just want to drop in.
It's kind of like, it's one of those things where there are a lot of things that we're looking at.
Oh, yeah.
Starting with technology.
And that's stuff that we're going to build over the years.
You need to do it, I want to take a look at it.
I like that because it makes us focus on us being teachers as opposed to the need for us to take some supplies. So it's really just us and the students. And then as we get things, we can
Whiteboards.
What?
Write it on my.
Is anyone in here arguing? You have to be more
Maybe after we
What's that?
maybe after she got shaken,
And I before I even look at it, I was halfway listening.
Just, Are you gonna do forest? This is where Spalding is. Forest for the trees. So, I think this is the forest. But there were a few things.
She was doing training. Oh, you could have seen this every time she. Oh, this is. Oh yeah. Very funny.
And that's another thing, when, you know, so
We should have a reason for everything.
this is the Russia. As far as I so on that issue, the other week, they'll have to call me when it's your teachers, it will I want every candidate on Monday to observe, go to whatever, and on Friday, and there's every other week to actually by team there. So on Friday, we should have a schedule for just the 3 leagues or 2 leagues or something in the section. Is there the first grade, second grade, so that's
Class.
Yes, yes.
Let me say again, tell your friends, if you are K2, and I graded your notebook, I'm assuming I graded your notebook. I had a few people who weren't here, or at least I didn't get a notebook. But if you are K2, and you want to increase your score, I'm happy to take your notebook home with me tonight. Do not erase my check marks or notations, though. I don't want to grade everything all over again, okay? I only want to look at where I put a little check. And if you can earn points back, fine with me. I'm not trying to zap you. I want you to have 50 points, okay? And that the criteria is what you need to take care of. If you're grading your second grade notebook for your children in your class, we talked yesterday about how perfect it has to be, you are going to be more lenient than I was with yours. But you're the leader. It has to be perfect, right? Or at least try to. Okay. And then again, grades 3 through 5, I will take your notebooks normal. Okay. That doesn't mean you can just stop off. I didn't pick up yours too. Because I look through yours, actually I will. Pick up everybody's, and I'll just look through it in case there's something there. But complete the assignments. You aren't going to expect your kids to come in and not have the assignment done. If you are for somebody and they ask you to please have this finished by 8 o'clock tomorrow, you go, gosh, no, it's your job. Okay? Complete it. And use your writing, road to reading as your reference. But if you're paying attention in class, that's going to help you most of all. All right, so let's continue on this page. Are there any questions about the notebooks? Okay. When we write coming in class, my base word is my ending is I must write come without the silent final E because my ending ing starts with a vowel. Tell me again. My
word is come, my ending is ing, and my base word come without the silent final E because my ending ing begins with a vowel.
Can you tell me? Everybody tell me? Can you tell me? No, the lady. And you know why I have to ask you?
Yeah, so, to change the ending, if we're writing coming, we change come by removing the E and adding ing because ing starts with a vowel.
Okay, but what I want you to relay to them is not exactly what you said. I want it specific. You're going to identify your base word, you're going to identify the ending, and you're going to say what we do. Okay? So again, my base word is come. My ending is ing. What do I do? I must write come without the silent final E because my ending ing starts with a vowel. Yes, it's rote learning, but it's good learning. It's something you will use for the rest of your life. You already, I hope some of you go, oh, nobody told me that. I just had to remember I had to drop an E sometimes. No, it's only when the ending is a vowel. And if you can tell them that in first grade, that's really going to help them a very long time. And if you always say it the same way, it's a way to pull it back up. One more time. Come on.
Base word is come, my ending is ing. I must write come without the silent final E because my ending ing begins with a vowel.
You can say begin, you can start, we're going to say equal. Okay? All right. let's write coming. We're going to be in the second column under the heading with your open, but across from come, write coming. Say your syllables. Beginning. It. I'm only going to underline the beginning of the to the down line on the end of that photograph. Okay? I am not under the I'm not going to put that line under that upswing. Please keep that in mind. It's part of the read. And I'll take twins off later. That gives you a little bit of impetus. Okay? All right. On the next line, we're going to write fiercest. That is the fiercest animal in the jungle. What's your base word? Fierce. What is your ending? S. How do you know it's S? Because your third graders don't know that it's S. How would we know that it's S? Why isn't it is, or us, or ist, or es? Why is it S? Yes. Yeah, it's the most of all fierce. The bear is fierce. The lion is the fiercest. Okay? S tells us it's the most of all. So what do? My base word is fierce. My ending is S. I write the word fierce without the silent final E, because my ending S begins with a vowel. In order for us to always be saying, let's say starts with a vowel, then we're going to, let me say it one more time. I'm going to take out one of the words that are there. My base word is fierce. I want it to be as concise as possible. My base word is fierce. My ending is S. Now I've identified both pieces, right? I must write fierce without the silent final E because my ending S starts with a vowel. Okay? I'm reinforcing my base. I'm going to write my base word fierce. I'm saying it again, so I remember what my base word was. Without the silent final E, it's not just any old E, because my ending begins with a vowel. Ending S, in this case, begins with a vowel. If I wrote being, he is being silly, I write B. Do I write it without the E? No, it's not silent. I write B, I add E. Okay? I'm not just going to write it without an E. It's not just, that's not what's peculiar about it. It's because they have a silent final E. And don't tell them, what, and that's because, let them, or even tell you, well, we can't put two vowels together. Of course we can. We just learned all those phonographs. E at A, E at ed, E I get. Vowels are together all the time. Okay? But it's that silent final E we're going to write without the E because it begins with a vowel. Don't jump to some other conclusion. This is just a spelling rule, but it's valuable. No, it's just a basic spelling rule that's important, that is so important we're spending all day on it. Okay? We're going to write fierce without the silent final E because the ending S begins with that. Right. Tell me in syllables, fierce. First sound, E. What's this phonogram? E, I, ed. Do I have to mark it? No. S. How does this say S? Good idea. But the silent final E can only do its first job if you don't see it. In hoping, it was a silent final E that's helping that angel. E is helping still. Writing will be helping you say that. Okay? But that's the only job it can do when it's not there. So in this word, how can the say S? Okay, because I had to have an ending to get over me. Not quite. Get even closer. When do we know can say S? It's followed by an E. It's followed by an E. Okay? It happens to be in the next syllable, but that's why it can say S. If it didn't, if you didn't have an EI or Y, it can't say S. Yes?
Would it be incorrect to tell that it can say because of on the scene.
Yes, that would be wrong, because it can't. It won't say because of the MCP, the silent, the one that's in the base rate. The only thing the silent final E can do when you don't see it is job one, which is to help the valve say its name. All right? I'll prove that to you in a minute to get the chose. Okay? But for now, the only way this sentence is because it's followed by that E. Okay? If we had written some other ending to begin with any other vowel, maybe it would, maybe it won't. It's only the E, I, and Y that can help it. Say, okay? It's not the one that we don't see. Only job one can do that. All right.
But we wouldn't mark the EU.
No, I don't have to mark it because I'm looking right next door. Here's a D, I, or Y. I know I can say, I'm okay. Okay? On the next line, I want you to write writer. He's a good writer. Tell me what to say. My base
word is right. My ending is er.
is what? Okay. All right. I write.
Right. Without the silent final E. Because my ending er starts with a vowel.
The rest I start. Just so we don't go writer. Right. Syllables. Right. Beginning. What? I. That's our guy. How did the I say I by raising hands? Yes? No. Nope. How did the I say I in write? I write my name. How did that I say I? Because of the silent final E, right? Okay, now we've written it without it, but we're going to remember it. Okay? We're going to remember that that E was there, and it still can help that I say I. If I write writing, do you think the I would help this I say I? No. Okay. It's not the ending, or just because there's another E there, that's not the one that's helping the vowel say its name. Okay? I'm sorry?
So it's, and this a little, so the rule is that because the dictation was, it says its name in the base word, that just carries into the.
Yes, but only that job, that first job of E, if I do right with an E, right? That E's job was to help the I say out, right? That's job one. Yes? Okay. That job is the only one this silent final E can still do without a C. I might call it the phantom E, especially in third grade. It's still out there doing its thing, helping that I say out. I don't see it anymore, but I remember it. Okay? Right, without the silent final E, because begins with the vowel. This E is not affecting it. Okay? Pardon me?
It's just an ending.
It's just an ending, just like king is an ending, like us is an ending, whatever. It has nothing to do with affecting the vowel. Okay? Anybody else? Yeah. It's a rule that you're going to write down when you find it in the notebook, it's Rule 11, but we're not going to write Rule 11 after every one of these words. Okay? The reason we have to stop right here in your, if we were doing your text as you'll do in school, when your next word is a word where this will be come into play, before you can teach Rule 11, you're going to do this page in the notebook. So by the time they write whatever word that is, it's coming up, noticing, before you ever have to teach noticing, instead of someone just teaching you for that one word, you've drilled it or talked about it, they can tell you now. Okay? And probably some of you noticed that when we did writer, I didn't hold up every finger and I didn't hold up every sound. We just did write. Write, right, without silent writing, because they didn't use it right. You have to know your audience. You have to know what do they already know for sure, and find anybody that doesn't know for sure, so that you can help get them back with everybody else, okay? So that you don't have to, you probably are not going to have to do, maybe with the second grader you would, you got right without silent writing, because verb begins with that. Okay, on the next line, go ahead and mark verb. So do we, again, do we have to mark the I? No, because the silent final E, job one, is still my phantom, ghosty, helping it do its work. Okay, helping the I say I. On the next one, I want you to write change. He changed his mind. Class, tell me. My base word is change. My ending is change. He changed his mind. Let's agree on the ending. The ending is I agree. Change, right? So again, my base word is change. Everybody, teachers, get your fists up. My base word is change. My ending is different. I must write change without the silent final E, because my ending starts with a vowel. How many syllables do I write, class? One. Change. One vowel sound. It's not a vowel sound. Write it. We're going to write 2 long words on this line, so don't take up too much space to write change. A. Beginning. A. How does the A say A? But it's gone. I can't mark it. J. How does my G say J? Okay, tell me. It ended, yes. Because of, it's not. It's followed by an E, right? Okay, all right. Gus says joke because it's followed by an E. I think children speak in those sentences. Okay, change, do. All right. So underline your do. And that was second sound, and do, right? Change, do. Okay, beside it, I want to write changeable. 2-year-old's food is very changeable. Weather is changeable. My base word, change. My ending is able. My ending is what? Able. It could have been able, but it's not. It's able. It is certainly not able. It is able. Change, able, right? So my base word is change. My ending is able. What do I do? I must write change without the silent final E, because my ending able starts with a vowel. Okay, everybody okay? Okay, write it. Oh, wait a minute. What? Can everybody hear what she's saying? No. Whoops. Yes. You stepped right in it. So that, yes, my G is going to be able to say J if I write it without the E. I still want you to try. I want you to write it without the silent final E because you'd be able to fail, but oops. My angel just was resurrected. I have to bring that E back. All right? So my base word is change, my ending is able. I must write change without the silent final E because my ending able starts with a vowel. But now my gut can't say J, so I have to bring that silent final E back. All right? And I'm not going to say I write change and add able. No, I'm going to go through all of it. Algebraically. All right? So they are still using the rule. Whoops, that didn't work. I'm going to have to bring back that E. Tell me what they're going to say to you. My base word is change. My ending is able. I must write change without the silent final E because my ending able starts with vowel. But now my gut can't say J. Bring back an E. Okay? Is everybody okay with that? All right. Very changeable. You are not going to let them tell you, I just add able. I'm not going to do anything. No, yes, you are. You're going to go through the whole thing. If I write changes, he changes his mind. Change as. I didn't just write change and add an S. I wrote change without the E because my ending as starts with a vowel. For me to know that, I have to say the word. Change as, horse as, house as. Okay? Grammar books will tell you add ES or add an S. But then after X and whatever the whole myriad of letters are, I have to memorize your CH, I have to know it's ES. No, I don't. Just listen for it. Church as. I'm not going to add an S, I'm going to write church as. Houses. House as. Oops, as begins with a vowel, I write house with a. Shoes. Shoe. Z. Do I write shoe without the E? No. No. Z did not begin with a vowel. Okay? Yes? Everybody brains moving in there? Okay, yes. Yes.
Notice when we did it with our hands, we did, one hand being one self for able instead of able. And so when we have them write it, do they just write that
No,
word?
they
or
do.
do they
No. You would have to talk about your syllables. Change, able. You're right. I said change, ending able, just like I say change, the ending duh. I was just separating it with my hands to show it's a base word ending. But yes, for syllables, it's still, thank you. Change, able. Yes, okay. Thank you. Let's write change, or maybe you already have. Change, syllable. Change, a. Help me mark it. First sound. A. Underline, because now the E's back. Okay? E still is back, helping that A say what? Underline. J. Underline. E. Underline. First job of E. E lets A say A, skip over two consonants, right? Next sound. A. A says A at the end of the syllable. The bull. E. And don't let them just underline and never check. They don't have to take every single word. A can say A at the end of the syllable in this word. But you better do it a couple of times every single day because they're going to know finally that they just underline or write rule 4 and they have no clue what they're talking about. You don't talk about it every day. Okay? Just like phone every day. Okay, on the next line. Let's write service. Base word. Talk to me. My base word is serve.
My ending is.
Okay. How do you know it's is? Because your children don't know that. Could it be we have a lot of choices? They're more likely to say serve us, right? Well, there's only one here that says us. Do you mean it's full of serve? That's what we had to know the meaning. Oh, no, so I guess it's this way, service. Service, I'm not sure. Okay. What does this one mean? Person. Could be that one. You mean it's a person who knows a lot about serve? No. Do you think it's service? That's more than one. Is it more than one serve? No. Eliminate it and define which one you're talking about. Service, most of all serves? No. Let's read these in our edit class. Yes, can be service. I didn't give you a particular definition here. Serve, yes, it can't be these other ones that must be that. Serve, yes. You know how to spell it, they won't. Serve, it's is what I'm writing, is. All I've done is taken my verb, turned it into an noun. That's what this did. Okay? So I need to know the meaning. That's something they can do, but it didn't. It's not a particular meaning like my plug, and I can eliminate as, for instance. Okay? Because they're more likely to write as if they're in service. Because they think it's sort of S. Okay? And don't let them say ice when they write that. It is not serve ice. It is serve this. So that when they write notice, they're not noting the ice either. Okay? Let them do it. All right. Go ahead and write service. Serve. is. I heard an S in there. Is. I'm sure that's what you're saying, you should write. Is. Beginnings, okay, I'm gonna jump you up 6 months or maybe 2 months. Instead of you telling me on every single one, underline the two-letter underline a, whatever. You won't be doing this in kindergarten. But in second grade, my second graders at Veritas do this. What they're going to enjoy more after you know it's ingrained and they're all going underline yes, underline C, put 2 lines under the E. Instead, we're going to take a shortcut. Instead, what they're going to be saying, kindergarten year, you guys won't be doing it, but you know that they're going to need to be doing it later. So as soon as you can shorten it as much as you can, great. Instead, what you're going to do, once. You're going to say once. They've been saying underline once. All we did is change it, we just took a shortcut. So we've got, so in this case, we've got serve, is, oops. And don't worry, I don't want anybody to do this right away. And I will be talking to all of you in your teachers' meetings and all the kinds of other things. Everybody, your kid, I can walk in the classroom, and if there's a drone going, you don't have the energy, and they don't have the energy. There's nothing cooking. So pick it up. More energy, okay? Service, tell me your sounds. This is what I want you to say. Once, it, once, twice. That's what it is. And you're going, yay! I'm so tired of doing that other. Okay. Tell me what you're going to say. Once, it, once, twice, 3. If I had to put a number here, I would say 2, maybe. Okay. Twice, once tells me the order is how many times did I underline. Okay. And they know what that means. Okay. But it just helps it move along a little bit. You don't want to drag through the word. It's something that they can do. All right? All right. Next is service plus marketing. Tell me, once, in, once, twice, 3. Okay, great. The 5th grade teacher at Veritas helped me learn that. Much better. And I like it. It's not in your book. It's just another little tweak that we can do. If there's a way to make it better, then let's do it. You may find ways that you think will improve it. I'd like to know what they are, because sometimes it may not be because you aren't experienced with it. To write serviceable, what happens? My washing machine was not serviceable. Serviceable. My base word. Service. Actually, now we just wrote service. So now my base word is now service. Okay? Yes, in the true scope of things, the base word is serve. But now I want to write serviceable, so I don't want to go through all the way with serve, and then at S, and now able. I'm going to start with serviceable. Are you okay with that? Okay. So to write serviceable, my base word is service. My ending is able. Able. My base word is service, my ending is able. What do I do? I must write service
without the silent final E, because my ending able starts with a vowel.
Good. But what happened? Well, why? There's going to be why. You don't do it without telling me why. But my won't see it anymore, will it? Okay? So I have to bring that. Okay, and that's a little wonky. You can bring that in. But yes, my it's not going to work. Now I have a so there's no way for my so I can do that. Okay? Yes.
So why doesn't the ghost E come back to make this?
It won't. It just isn't going to do it. It's only going to do it if it's job 1.
But so for job, so So only, okay, so the ghost E works for job 1, but none of the other jobs.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay? Only job 1. You can only have a vowel say its name, but you don't see its yes.
So what if they ask how come it's not able and the I can help the C still say?
I'm sorry. I didn't hear that.
Okay, so if you have a student that asks how come it's not able with an I, because the I could help the C say
I would say, it sure would make our life easier, wouldn't it? But if we do that, we're going to misspell it. We have to work with the spelling of the word and help explain it. Okay? That's the answer. Don't say, well, just that's because what it's that. Don't do that. You know, you've all heard that. You've probably said it. Don't say it. Find a way. Find a reason. Okay? At least try to. Or say, I'm going to think harder about that one. Okay? But don't just say, well, just, you know, just write it there. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
I just want to be clear. So, on subtle, changeable, serviceable, the final silent E, is it doing 2 jobs? It's doing able, so we don't need.
Well, let's talk about one word.
Okay, changeable.
Changeable.
So it's making the A say A,
Yes.
but it also is doing job 4, which is.
Well, that's a different E. Changeable. A, Jim, my A said A because of the here, right? This E is helping the A say A.
Right.
A, full. This E is here because of syllable needed. Every syllable needs a vowel. This E has nothing to do with what's going on back here.
No, so why is the A underlined first?
This A,
Yeah.
why does this A say
B.
A? What is the line under a single vowel say yes?
Okay,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, I was talking.
never mind, I got it. It's
I'm
its
lying, tell me.
own- A is its own syllable,
That's not why.
and because A can only say its name at the end of the syllable.
Tell me exactly what I want to hear. A may say,
A may say A at the end of the syllable.
yeah, she got to the point. A may say A at the end of the syllable. A is alone with the syllable, no, it doesn't have to be alone, it could be in, you know, a lot of letters can be with it, so long as it's in it. Okay? And then if you tell me, well, it's saying its name, and you're making me have to think, wait a minute, it's its name. Just tell me what you mean, specific with that word. Okay, are we okay with that one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, we're going to write serviceable. Is everybody ready to write serviceable? Okay. How many syllables? Serve is my first syllable. I didn't tell you all the syllables. You're going to have to tell them. What's your next syllable, teachers? Is. I have my feedback. A. O. Beginning. Once. Is. Once. E. Twice. 3. A. Once. The. O. E. Twice. 4. Got it? Okay. On the next line, we're going to write nervous. His speech made me very nervous. Get your base word. Nerve. My ending is us. What's your ending? Us. Nerve us. What? Why can't it be nerve is or nervous or nerve s? Okay? Why is it us? What does us mean? Full of. Have any of you ever come into my classroom and been a little apprehensive about the test that's happening? And you were full of nerves, right? Which reminds me, I still need to give you your WPR. Okay, nerve us, full of nerves, right? That's what it means. Base word is nerve, ending is us. Make sure they know what the ending is. Write it without the silent early. Yes. Nerve. Us, and make sure they're saying us. They're going to be tempted to say ouse. It is not no ouse. It is us, and I like mouse. If you think, if they think it's ouse, I've seen many people that it be on the end of that. Has nothing to do with anything other than it's an ending in this whole. Okay? Once, for, okay? On the next line, we're going to write desirable. Tell me, my base word is desire. My base word is desire.
My ending is stable. I must write desire without the final key, because my ending able starts with a vowel.
Now you can already imagine, how am I going to get all the third graders to say that at one time? You've got to direct them. You've got to get them. Okay, so they're all saying. And there's going to be somebody back there doing. So that's the person that you make sure you have them define what's happening. Because that's the one who, and you're going to have a lot of people, especially you people, are going to have a lot of your students going, oh, for heaven's sakes. I've been spelling yellow since I was in second grade, or kindergarten. But you have to keep them participating, because what happens to those children, you get into words that they don't already know how to spell, and they are lost. They don't know their phonograms, and so they don't know how to mark, except watching you put a number, and so that's what they do. Doesn't mean a thing. It's a waste of time to put a number over a phonogram if you don't know what it means. Okay? You've got to make sure that way back, that's why we're doing all those early sessions, so that they have practice of using the method on words that they can understand. And hang tight, Mr. 10-year-old. It's going to get harder, don't you worry. Okay, just stay with me. I felt the same way. I just sat in this class and I thought, oh, really? We have to learn our kids? I'm not going to teach kindergarten kids. It's going to get hard enough, don't worry. Okay, after nervous, we're going to write desirable. Teachers, tell me, my base word.
Desire.
Okay, together.
My base word is desire. My ending is able. I must write desire without the silent final E, because my ending able starts with a vowel.
Is that? How many syllables will we have? Desire. Able. Yes.
Is that something you could cue on the board and write for your students at the beginning of this, kind of like a script with blanks?
No.
No.
Did I have to write it on the board for you?
No, but we're
No.
still all over.
No, but that's because I'm not directing you as carefully as I could. Okay, you will. Okay? You're going to have to direct them from the beginning to get them to tell you the sounds at the same time. I'm trying for you to find your niche in this group. That's why I'm not saying I'm not saying it with you anymore. Okay? I don't think you need to. It's proven you don't need to. Your second graders you'll need to for a long time. Okay? All right. Does that help? Okay. No, I would not write my base word is. No. Because all I'm going to do is read that and none of it's going inside. If they have to think, I have to start with base word, have an ending, what do I do? So that it's so ingrained in second grade, they can't forget it when they graduate fifth grade. They've done it for 3 years. They follow the base word. Okay? All right. Let's write desirable. Tell me your syllables. Desire. My base word was desire, right? Desire. Next syllable?
Able.
And you will continue. If you didn't, I didn't hold up every finger and tell you every syllable to write. But you also have a chance now to see if yours looks like mine. But if your eyes are up here looking at what I'm doing, I'm going to start covering this. Students, not teachers. I don't see you people doing it, but they will. They'll try, wait and see what you're going to do. They'll listen to what everybody's saying. You've got to pick those out and help them separately. Okay? All right. Tell me your sounds. Good. E once. Two. I don't even have to say over. Just two. I. Ready to have I. How does my I say I? Yeah. Right. The silent final was in the base word. Next sound. Next sound.
A.
You see, we're taking the base word using, right? And we're going to add the ending "er," which can be a person, right? So my base word is settle. My ending is "er." What do I do? And this right?
Settle without the silent final E, because my ending starts with thou.
Great. How many syllables do I have? Two. We haven't disagreed. Hold up your fingers if you think there are 3. Hold up your fingers if you think there are 2. Kind of divide it half and half. Okay, so we don't know, right? But if I write settle, I mean, we don't have a consensus. Settle without the silent final E, right? Can I have a syllable without a vowel? No. I have my ending "er." The word is not settler, folks. The word is settler. The water is not bubbling. It is bubbling. The roof is not rattling. It is rattling. Okay? There's no vowel in there. There's no syllable. Okay? Let's write settler. Did you notice I didn't tell you what word we're going to write? I didn't say we're going to write settler. I said we're going to write settler and adverb. You fell right in it again. Right? Good, because now you'll learn it. Okay. Yes?
Of the,
Would that make sense to you? For both keys to go in the first syllable. But look at your base word. You didn't pronounce both of those either. And the Rule 29 that's written in your book is a reading rule. Says now that I know this word settle, I'm going to divide between the consonants if I can. And I can. So I'm going to leave it just like my base word. My first syllable would be set, plural. Okay? I always say settler. I don't hear this one. I'm not going to say it silent for 2 lines. I know this is a base word. I pronounce it settler. One of them went out in speech, fell out in speech. That's all I have. Okay? But I'm not keeping them together. If you have the same, even if you have 2 of any consonant, and you want to divide in syllables as you're reading, help them read. You won't spend much time with that. But if you have a word that they're trying to decode, and there are 2 consonants, you have a vowel and 2 consonants, you're going to divide between the consonants, right? You all know that. If I were teaching a word to a first grader, though, and if I were teaching the word better, if I'm reading it, and they're stuck, I'm kindergarten, they're stuck, I would talk about the 2 consonants, divide it between, read the first syllable to me, and they will. Better. And they can say tur, and they know better. Okay? If they're reading the word copy, I might, and they're going copy, I don't know, I can't do it. Copy, I don't know. I would say your first syllable has 3 letters. What does the first syllable say? They know that. Copy. Because they know that if you leave the O at the end, they should have said co. Okay? But now that I've told them, it says it has 3 letters, they can say copy. You have to, there are times where it's not following exactly the dividing between consonants, you have to guide them there if you need to. But it's not, it's a waste of time to just sit there and have them keep saying copy. No, it's got three letters, but you don't have to say, start saying the sounds. No, you're finding your syllables if you're in a book that has that. So you guide them to start looking for those syllables, start looking for compound words. Divide your words. Okay, yes.
So just to be clear, if the third grader were to ask, why is settler 2 syllables instead of 3, you would use the rule that says every syllable needs a vowel.
Absolutely.
And then if they ask about the T, then that's when you would, how you pronounce the...
Well, I would tell them to just write settler. And they go, settler? I don't know who's settler. It's settler.
Yeah.
Well, how many vowels are there?
Yeah.
There are only 2, so there can only be 2 syllables. If it's settler, there are 3.
Yeah, but if it, sorry, and then, so, I understand that part, and then if they were to ask about the T's, that's when you would bring in...
You mean this question?
Yes.
Yes.
But if they don't ask that question, should we bring it up or just...
Well, a third shown Seth wrote. Probably would be okay. But I wouldn't specifically talk about, stop everything, let's talk about that, but he asked a specific question. That's when you address it,
Okay.
when the question comes up, okay? Some things, whether the question comes up or not, obviously. Is everybody a settler? Because I don't. You write it. First syllable? Slur is how I write, isn't it? Slur. First sound? Well, I am not going to say it silent. Don't put two lines under there. Raves trained people, you want to do that. Don't do it anymore. You're now in Spalding. Okay? Underline the okay? To add ing to this word. Talk to me, teachers. My base word. Okay, I want you to tell me.
My base word is settle. My ending is ing.
I'm writing separate. Okay. My ending is ing, not er anymore. My base word is settle. My ending is ing. I must write
settle without the silent final E, because my ending ing starts with a vowel.
Right, and I say again, my ending ing reinforce that everybody knows what, because you go through all of that, well, by the time some of them get there, they're like, oh, what are you writing? And this does it right now, but still, oh, what are you writing? But if you keep saying the base word, the ending faster. Okay, so my word now, teachers, is what? Settling. He's settling in Wyoming. He is not settling down. He's settling down. Right? Settling. Beside settler. First syllable? Spalding is what I write, isn't it? And even though we think there's a pulse, if we say it another way, there's no vowel, so there's no pulse. Okay? And all right, on the next line, we're going to write easy. Talk to me. My base word. Tell me.
My base word is ease. My ending is it.
My ending is what?
It.
Good. I must write
ease without the silent final E, because my ending it starts with a vowel.
You see what we don't have to write that on the board? You got it, right? Okay, write easy. You didn't have to write it in your notes, because now you've done it so many times, you know. Okay, back to the beginning. It. Do I mark it? No. It's the first vowel sounding. On the next line, we're going to write rehearsal, and I'm not going to let you just write it. Every single time you have a base word at ending, you're going to tell me. Every time. Okay? Tell me what happens with rehearsal.
My base word is rehearse. My ending is spell.
Ow. 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 Okay? If I recall, I hear aw, but I want to know this ending is different. It's not just a word. Okay? Ow. My base word is
Rehearse. My ending is owl. I must write rehearse without the silent final E, because my ending owl starts with a vowel.
Okay. Let's write rehearsal. First syllable. First sound.
E.
Once. Apple. Who can tell me with a sentence why I use the verb? Why is the verb early in rehearsal? How do I know it's the verb early? Because I heard you learn about the early rehearsal or late rehearsal. I memorized that sentence. But how do I know it's the verb early in rehearsal? Because I memorized it. I heard you learn about the early rehearsal. You have to memorize it. So I did see it. And when you wrote if you had done page 2 first, and it changes depending on what your list is, if you had done page 2 first as we did, I can't really expect you to know how to write yours. I'm going to have to talk to you. We're going to do more of this, but I want you to write yours without being I'd say it to them, I'm just going to ask them, I'm not teaching you. Okay? All right. Now, at this point, we would put a brace. I'm not going to do it. I want you to find it in your book. And it says in that beginning of that. You're going to put a brace. I'll help you write the brace because it's going to start at A. Make sure your braces start at midpoint. But I looked at a lot of books last night. They didn't all start at midpoint. That's where they start. Up out away, about halfway down, probably on the ending with dead. And then barely below the line, they do not end on the line. That was another problem. We're going to not go way past that final line. We're just going barely past that baseline. We're going to start at midpoint. So if I have another brace here, you can see they won't interfere with one another. If you're starting your braces or your brackets here, you're going to be in trouble because they're going to interfere with one another. Don't do it. I'm very specific because Mrs. Spalding was very specific about where these things do. And it's not that, just so able to bring it, but that has nothing to do with this. But it has to be, if you make it exact and you expect precision from your students, you won't have as big a mess on it. Okay? All right. So you'll write your heading here later. Does everybody who has a blue notebook put their hand here? I'm expecting you to go back and take care of that. Go through, review your book tonight. Okay. I want you to turn the page. Actually, I want you to turn backward. Page 3. At the top of your page, how did your book get full? Okay. Why don't you get a piece of paper so you can be doing it? Okay. You're a good boy. But I want you to hear how we're going to do it. Okay. Under the word hot, I want you to skip one line and write set. Set that aside. Set. Everybody can write these words. So and the next line, write run or I'm saying keep the sound because I'm doing one syllable words. I haven't been doing it with you, but it is hugely important that after you complete a lesson every single day, you read them for spelling, you read them for reading. If it's a one-syllable word, sound by sound. More than one syllable word, syllable by syllable. You don't read each sound. Okay? With me on that? Then for reading, just read. But when you have a multi-syllable word, don't let, when you're reading it back, they don't say every single sound if it's a two-syllable word. You look at this table, they're not going to say table, beat. They're going to say table. That's it. That's reading for spelling. When reading, they'll say table. As they would in speech. Is everybody clear on that? Okay. Now, in the next line, below run, I want you to write red. Red hair. Red. He has red hair. Which is specifically the reason I get a sentence every time. Because the people in the back didn't know exactly what I said. I knew what I said. I've sat to the back of many classrooms, and the teacher said a word, and I had no idea. And so some of the kids knew because they were closer, but I didn't know what she was saying. I would have if she'd said a sentence. Okay? So make sure it's clear. I'm not just talking about homonyms. I'm talking about words. You're only saying a word, and just to say red. Right? On the next line, write hot. Food is hot. And we're not going to go back and say the sound you with each other. Mud. It was mud on his boots. On the next line, write flat. Cool. Flat. On the next word, boys and girls, I'm going to write a word that you may have never heard of. It's an old word, but it's still a good word for us to use today, if we're going to be talking about this word in our history lessons. The word that I want you to write is the word writ. Writ. Most children will tell you that means I already wrote. Okay? And that is what it meant by the word. Okay? It is writ. Okay. Writ. It used to mean it, but today it's still a good word, but it means an important document of some sort. We'll be studying the Constitution. That is an important writ in the United States. Okay? The Bible is the holy writ to many people, right? So it's a word that we use. We just don't commonly use it in first grade. Okay? It doesn't mean you can't know it. It's not part of your everyday speech. We need the word writ, though, on the next line. What do you suppose? Hold up your fingers, show me the first sound that you think would be there, because I just talked about it. Piece of writing, talked about when you write it or an important document. First sound, I've already given them all the clue they need to get writ. Okay? Right there. I have to underline this. On the next one, I want you to write ship. He will ship the oranges. Ship. Yeah. Percent. Once. Yeah. On the next line, write stop. You can't stop yet. Okay. Before we go forward, look at your book, or look at the overhead, and tell me what you think these words might have in common. You see how Socratic this method is? Are you starting to see that? You're not pushing out, you're saying, what's here? What do we do? Where do we go next? What do you think happens? Okay? We can't do it. Okay. When you look at these words, what do they have in common? What's one thing you see that they might have in common? Yes?
Begin and end with a consonant.
They do begin and end with a consonant. That's true. Anybody else? Yes?
Single syllable words.
They are single syllable words. Okay. Yes? Each vowel says its first sound. Okay. I'm going to tell you what I find in common. First of all, in these words, how many syllables are in each one of these words? One. How many vowels are in each one of these words? One. How many consonants follow the vowel at the end of the word? One. We call these words one words. Not because there are two consonants, this one has three, or surrounded by consonants. Not because the vowel saying its first sound. We're going to get them toward one syllable, one vowel, followed by one consonant. Okay? What you said was valid, but it's not what I'm going to remember about these words. We call them one words. One syllable, one vowel, followed by one consonant at the end of the word. That's a mouthful for a kindergarten. And if you hold up hot, one syllable, one vowel, followed by one consonant at the end of the word. Okay? Is at a one word? At. I will be there at 5 o'clock. Yes, you. No, the sir in the back that told you about the two consonants. Is at a one word?
Yes.
It's one syllable. Does it have one vowel? Is it called one consonant at the end?
Yes.
Yes. Is smack a one word?
No.
Why not? By a raise of hands. Yes. Yeah, at the end of the word. Right. What about strap? Is strap a one word? By a raise of hands. Yes?
It's one syllable, has one vowel,
So is it a one-one-one word? Yes, it is. What about streak? Why not? Too bad, okay? Throw out some other ones, depending on the age of your students. But define the one-one-one word. We have to know about this particular kind of word before we can add it in. Tell me once more, what's a one-one-one word? One syllable. Here's top. One syllable, one vowel, followed by one consonant at the end. Tell me the whole thing. One syllable, one vowel, followed by one consonant at the end of the word. Okay, good. Now, we're going to come back to these, but before that, I want to add some endings at the bottom of the page, just endings. I'm not going to teach all of those to you, we're just going to write them. Go to I want you to go to the second column where you've written stop. And I want you to skip one line, and on the next line, I'm kind of showing you with my hand, but I also want you to be hearing what I'm saying. I don't want to say, put your pencil right here. I want you to listen to my words so you know what I'm saying. I'm pulling it in. That's what your students need. Not you feeding it. Okay. Go to the second column where you've written stop. Skip one line. On the next line, I want you to write the ending ing. We've just done it. Write ing. Say sounds. And. All right. First of all, I skipped 2 lines. And secondly, I don't hear good. Tell me the sounds in ing. Ing. Is there a good? No. And don't let your children say that. Ing. And you know to underline. On the next line, write the ending er. Er. Like faster. Er. And more. On the next line, write a 3. Beside it, I want you to write the past tense ending. So did you write it? You'll define it. Now they should be able to write it without telling them to write it. Yes. On the next line, write the ending that means most of all. Yes. On the next line, write the ending it. On the next line, write the ending al. On the following line, write the ending n. Make a second column, go comfortably close to ing, because we're going to write 3 columns again. I want you to write the ending is that we use in service. Below is, I want you to write the ending we use sort of or kind of. Is it an ending in the word finish? It's not here, it's not an ending. It's giving me, changing me like reddish. Okay? On the next line, under ish, I want you to write the age, or package. I want to clear up my answer to that question. And I said, no, it's only an ending if it's a base word. If I write probable, I would talk about that there's an ending here we can recognize able. It's just my base word is not prob, it's a root. Okay? But I don't think fin is the root to give me ish. So it's not, I would say finished as a base word. Sorry? Tell me, because I don't know. Ben, oh, Vinny, yeah, okay. Yeah, hi, Chris. Vinny, and then we're writing it without the E. Okay, good. You were letting me learn something today. Okay. once, E, twice, three. Help me. On the next line, write the ending ant, there's partner, ant, and Grace, ants and ant. On the next line, write the ending ants, at once, B, help me, twice, three. Below ants, write his partner, ant. And go Come to the next column, beside S, I want you to write the ending that means full of. Us. Help me mark it. On the next line, write the ending that means a person, as in cellist. I can't just say the ending of a person because there are several. Okay? On the next line, write the ending able. How many syllables will you write? Two. First syllable? If, twice. Below it, write the ending able. Beginning of the mark, A, once, twice. Below able, write ably. A once, it. And you can see when you teach probable and probably, what you're really doing is writing probable without the side of line where you just go to the sound. You know, it's that.
Did you write able with the I as the second?
Yes, it's two syllables.
Does the I have the same thing as its own syllable?
No, I and Y usually say it, and then even at the end of the syllable. Okay? That's real fun. Okay? They usually say it. But we didn't say idle, so we're not going to say that we're not going to say it not. Okay? Go ahead and embrace able and enabling. On the next line, I want you to write the end antsy. We've done and ants, right? Antsy for syllable. And sit. Athens. Then, you can tell me why the people, the C says. Fine. On the next line, write the ending tense. And sit. Embrace it. Okay. What do we know is common with all these? What are, tell me by raise of hands. You can tell me what these have in common. Yes? They all begin with a vowel. They're all endings. They're not words. This is not the word age. This is the ending age. They're all endings that begin with a vowel. Okay? But we want to take those now and add them to what kind of words did we say these were? One words. Why are they one words? They are one. Listen, pop with your fingers so that it's easier with pop. Pop is one syllable, one vowel, followed by one consonant at the end. Okay? You see, I don't have the same fingers up I always do. I'm not determining that. Oh, and hop, I'm going to do it differently. If you don't always hold this up, you're not going to be arrested by the Spalding. I'm telling you, I think it's easier to do that because you're going to run out of fingers if you start here every time. So I'm just trying to help you not have that problem. That's all. If it's more comfortable to you because you've always thought this way, and you think you can't do it, then don't do it. But I think it would be easier for you. And I know it's going to be easier for the children if they learn that way. So after they go from kindergarten and into fifth grade, they've got it ready. Okay, so they're always going to be that way. Does that make sense?
So this is almost the same list that we wrote on page 4. Is the reason that the last two words in these two columns aren't, like last two endings in these two columns aren't there because they don't index for these words?
Basically, yes. We wouldn't use the ending as either one on the. But I don't even care if they, even realize it. We're just dictating. We could add 5 other endings here. These are just ones we've chosen to. That's all they need to know. Okay? All right. So when I have a 111 word, boys and girls, the reason we're spending all this time there. Okay. When I have a 111 word, and I want to add an ending that begins with a vowel, I must take this final consonant in my 111 word and double it before I can add my ending. So, to write hopping, my base word is my ending is okay, now let me tell you. I must write hop, but I double this, I should say I add a, because my base word hop is a 111 word, and my ending begins with a vowel. Both things have to happen. I'm not adding another because the ending begins with a vowel, and I'm not just adding a because my base word is a 111 word. 2 things have to happen here for me to double. If I write stamping, is stamp a 111 word? Then I can't double. If I write hops, does the ending begin with a vowel? No, so I can't double. Base word has to be a 111 word. Ending must start with a vowel. If that happens, then I double. So my mantra is my base word is hop, my ending is in. So just like I always have, right? Every time I get a base word. Now, when you write hop, I'm going to keep going in the direction I'm going. I'm going to write hop, add, because my base word hop was a 111 word, and my ending name starts with a vowel. So I've gone through, referred to the base word, back to the end. Okay? My base word is hop, my ending is ing. I must write hop, so I'm going to throw my paper first. I'm going to write another. I always said I'd double it. I don't think they want to see that. I write hop, add, because my base word hop is a 111 word, and my ending ing starts with a vowel. Help me write it. Tell me what to do. My base word is hop, my ending is ing. I must write hop and add because my base word hop is a 111 word, and my ending ing starts with a vowel. The whole base word ending thing, we always identify the base word, identify the ending, tell me what you do. Okay? Base word is hop, ending is ing. I'm just write hop double because the base word hop is a 111 word, and the ending ing starts with a vowel. One more time, tell me again. My base word is hop, my ending is ing. I must write hop because my base word hop is a 111 word, and my ending ing starts with a vowel. Right. How many syllables will I write? 15. Top line, close to your margin, don't center it. I want you to write hopping. We're going to add another word in a second. Hop, say your syllables. Hop. Add my. I did show it on the hands, yes. And again, in reading, we would like to do this concept. We don't have suddenly have a base word hop that has 2 P's. We've added it, so we're going to put it over here. Okay? What do you hear? Hopping, hopping. I say hopping. The second syllable. Even though that's the one I added. Okay? But in the accent syllable is hop. which makes me think that should be the one I hear. It isn't. I say, pop, pop, right? Doesn't matter, I know I have a base word, I've added, because my ending began with that. Let's go through and mark it. Pick up the red pencil, say your sounds. I want you to double underline in red, call attention to the, that you've added. Move back to the right. Okay? This is what we do in second grade students. Next to hopping, we're going to write hopped. To write hopped, the rabbit hopped across the meadow. Tell me.
Base word is hop. My ending is
Hopped. Say the word. Hopped. What's my ending? And you won't know inside your head. Right? Okay. Hopped. Start again.
my base word is hop. My ending is I must write hop as because my base word hop is a one word. My ending is a vowel.
All right, good. Got it? How many syllables will I write? 2. So it's hop. Is the vowel sound? Is the vowel sound? How many syllables will I write? Hop. As I'm writing it, I'm calling attention to what I'm writing. These were hop. Yes?
Question, so if hopped is a one-syllable word, and when you're writing on a line and you want to be able to do a break into part of the word in the next line, the rule says you can break in a syllable break. You can't break hopped because it's no longer.
I can't break it. Okay. You can break hopping. Since you brought that up, I'm going to make a little brief statement. And when I'm doing your class level readings, I'm not going to make a bigger statement. You might have noticed I wrote that huge dictionary. It's to verify my point. In your list of words, particularly fourth, fifth, it starts getting a little messy sometimes, the way they divided some of the words. It's because, as far as the syllable goes. And I will talk to you about it if I think there's a better way. All right, we're not going to go through every one of them, but I think there's a better way, or going back to those as well. The reason that the syllable breaks are not consistent with what we're learning is because they use a particular dictionary, Merriam-Webster 11th edition, that in the beginning of the dictionary, they tell you right there, we are dividing these words into syllable according to the way that it would be divided if you were writing from one line to another, for the printers to go from one line to another. So if they wrote about, for instance, they may not divide it at all. They would be able to write about on one. So maybe in your text, it would say just about. That's not the case. It would say and about. But in the word busy, what do you think the first syllable of busy is? Tell me, you know. Biz. Biz. Next syllable, it. That's the way Mrs. Spalding writes it. The text that you have says it's divided biz. And I'm like, what? Okay. No. It's because if I look in that particular dictionary, first of all, the word busy isn't divided at all. As the entry word, it's just one, it's 4 letters, which makes it look like one syllable. Well, we know it's not one syllable. But my interpretation of what's in this book is because they looked at the pronunciation, and what we say is bid and zip. So they took bid as one syllable and zip as the second. I can't live with that. I think we would write biz, bid. Now we have to spell it buzz, bid, right? But there's no reason to leave that vowel in that syllable. When I researched it through the dictionaries that I have, that's what's going on. That was the thinking that happened, because they looked, if they wrote telegraph first syllable would be? Show me on your fingers. What do you think the first syllable would be? Tab, right? Is there any, can you defend why it would be tab? I can't either. In your book, it shows tab. Yeah, exactly. You're going to go, what? No, I don't think so. But it's because if I look in that dictionary, it shows TELE and then dot graph. They're using that prefix tele as you wouldn't divide between it. And so they took the pronunciation telegraph, and that's how they divided it in your book. I will guide you away from that. We will do your words, I'll be at your schools, all of your schools, every other week. To do just class level, or maybe observations. Trivium I'll be doing observations. But I can also instead of observations, we can meet as your level and say, we have these questions, okay? But yeah, that's a problem in some of these word divisions. Mrs. Spalding used a book she called the Word Divider. It was like a dictionary, but it was only about syllables. And that's what she geared hers on. And it's much truer than some of these things they've changed, but they have a source. They just didn't actually use the source code. Okay? Yes? You tell me what you think. What do you think would happen? It's in one way, yes, What do you think would happen? Tell. I would write E. I would say E. Okay. I would say tell E. Yes. Tell E. Big jump. The reason I say E, I'm leaving it at the end of the syllable. I can't hear it as E, but I want to call attention to it as E. It's the unaccented syllable. It makes it harder to hear. So when they write that word, I want them to understand. Tell E is a prefix. We use all of it. Tell E. Green. Tell E. Okay. So it would be different than what you can see. But when those inconsistencies happen, there may be some reason behind it. They didn't do it indiscriminately. I'm just not sure it was done for a correct reason. Okay? All right. So let's mark hot. I have to double underline my hot. And then what do I do with this? Underline. All right, we're going to finish these before lunch. So let's keep going. On the next line, we're going to write head, tall, back, straight, hips, back, feet, flat. Head, tall, back, straight, hips, back, feet, flat. Are you ready? Okay, let's stop 20 minutes ago. On the next line, under pockets, I want you to write setting. He is setting the table for us. Setting. We are not setting in our seats, are we? No. Okay. He is setting the table. Okay. Setting. My base word. Tell me, folks.
My base word is set. My ending is ing. I must write set and t. Because my base word is set. One word. One ending. I think about.
Okay, right here. My base word is set.
My ending is ing.
I must write
set
at
because my base word set is a 1-1-1 word, and my ending ing starts with a vowel.
It's much easier to know what you're saying if you really think of it. Base word, ending, what do I do? Yes? Right, set. First word. Skip one line so I'm saying myself. Set. Right. And that's the way I would say it to spell it. I would write set, throwing that one in there, and then and. Set, and. I'm calling out that letter in that. Okay? To mark it at double underline and do it with that red pencil, call attention to it, and On the next line, write running. Tell me. My base
word is run, my ending is sing. I must write run, add because my base word run is a 1 word, and my ending ing starts with a vowel.
Perfect. Ready for syllable. Run. Okay. Back to the beginning. Word. Okay. On the next line, we're going to write reddish. The sky looked reddish at sunset. Tell me.
My base word is red, my ending is ish. I must write red, add good, because my base word red is a 1 word, and my ending ish starts with a vowel.
Red. Verb at d. I'm going to double underline the d is sh. Okay, this I have to tell you something now that I have to learn this. We were talking about. If you had taken this class from anybody with me, you would be sitting here saying, my days with my hearing, this is what I do. I just think it is so hugely important though. I know that I've seen children with huge learning problems learn much faster if you divide it up and repeat the method. This is what I'm going to do. Every time I find a base word, I'm going to find the ending. Now I know what to do. For years, I told them what to do. What's your base word? Tell me your base word. Oh, we have an E. In this case, we're going to write it without the E because they use it. I'm doing all the work. When they started repeating it to me, they understood it. Now it became their invention. It's no longer mine. And that's what I'm trying to do for you. Okay? It works so much faster. And the kids know it. I walk in second grade classes. Yeah. If you're looking at this word, we haven't done it yet. Yeah, we haven't done it yet. But these cards, make sure you don't take them home and leave them because we'll use them tomorrow. She's looking at base words and endings. And you're going to be pulling those cards out after you taught some of these concepts to do it. It's not going to look like your cards, you have bigger cards. But you still have word building. Kindergarten, I'm not sure. Okay, yes.
So we've had the double line for the E, no job. And we've had the double line for the nonsense. It doesn't make sense. It's not.
Well, it's not saying what it should.
It's not saying what it should. And is there a term or phrase for this double?
We're adding this letter. We have the rule, it's got to be Rule 10, told us to add this consonant. So I'm calling attention to the fact that I added it. It's not part of my base word, it's not part of my ending. It happens to be a syllable at the end, but it's not part of it. Okay? All right, so I'm calling attention to that. All right. And I would never say, okay, tell me 3 reasons to use a double one. You talk about it and find it in there. All right, on the next line, you write hottest. It was the hottest food I ever eaten. Tell me. My
Base word is hot, my ending is s. I must write hot with the apostrophe because my base word hot is a 1 word, and my ending s starts with a vowel.
You can tell me what a 1 word is. What are we talking about?
So, 1 vowel followed by a 1 consonant at the end of the word.
Right, hottest. Hot. Attention to, which is the underline, means most of all hot. On the next line, write muddy. My base word is
Mud, my ending is it. I must write mud, add it, because my base word mud is
twice, it. Do I mark it? On the next one, flatten. I will flatten the ball in order to pack it. Flatten. My base word is
flat, my ending is N. I must write flat, because my base word flat is a one word, and my ending N starts.
Watch out. N starts with a vowel. Right, flatten for syllable. Beginning, pull that, twice, and on the next line, you find out what we're writing here. Then what's it? He has written the paper. Grammatically, yes, the base word is right. I write it paper, I write it paper, I've written it. But for spelling, it helps me understand how to spell it if I realize there is really a word, writ. That's the only reason we don't understand. There is a word, writ, I can use. Is writ a one word? Yes. Is the ending we live about? Yes. I'm going to double. If you go double, I assume you think the base word is right, and you write it. Right, you written. You're using writ. It's not about the sound of the vowel. It's because there is one vowel. It's not, don't go there. Don't say because it's going to be the first sound. It's not what we're looking. I'm sure you got this out here. Okay. Writ, double, N. Written. Right. First sound, once, it, twice, and below written, we're going to write shipped. He was shipped away to Navy. Shipped. My base word is shipped.
My ending is I must write ship, add, because my base word ship is a one word, and my ending starts with a vowel.
How many syllables do we have? Shipped is not a vowel sound. It does not create a syllable. And I added, started at the down line, and carry it just through the circle of the letter. Besides ship, let's write shipper. Base word is shipper. The shipper was responsible for the damage. Shipper. My base word is ship.
My ending is I must write ship with an asterisk, because my base word ship is a one word, and my ending starts with a vowel.
Obviously, second grade and back, you're not going to sit and do all these words. You're going to do setting. That's the next word in your list. You're going to talk about it then, and hoping when they come up on hopping, and another week later. Oh yeah, we spend all that time. They love one words, especially. Okay, they want to. They're on the lookout for it. Third grade and up, you're going to go through this whole thing, so it's hopefully stuck. You don't have to go back and revisit it. It's not structured, you have to go back and revisit it. Yes.
If we get a student that says, well, why aren't the other ers ending? Just because the is ending.
I can't think of a word where they are, so that's why they're not in this. I can think of a word where is at the end of the word, as in a her, but it's not an indent. Okay? Is typically an indent. And sometimes it comes down to Oh, well, that would be a good idea, but I'm not in charge of how we spell these words. I'm just trying to help you figure out why we spell them correctly. Okay? Not, well, it would, gee, it would make a lot more sense if we spelled it like this. Yes, it would. But if we don't, we're not going to make up, you don't have the power, and I don't have the power to change it. We're going to deal with what we have and explain why it's there. So we have a way to remember, so that we look like we're literate. All right, besides shift, write shipper. Ship. Which we remember you need a person, right? First sound, shh, and twice, her. All right. Besides stop, we're going to write stopped. Stopped talking. My base word is stop.
My ending is
What's the ending? My ending is, okay. Let's start again.
my base word is stop. My ending is I must write stop. An extra.
And add, okay. All right. Okay, well, I know it's about lunchtime. Stop. My
Base word is stop. My ending is I must write stop. Add. Because my base word stop is a 1-1-1 word, and my ending starts with a vowel.
Stop. One syllable word again, right? And there are phonics methods, reading methods that say, well, listen for this sound at the end, and it tells you what that, whether it's going to say difference. I don't have to know what letters at the end. I'm going to listen for the sound, it tells me. I don't have to memorize a bunch of letters at the end of the end. Just listen. Stop. Right? There it is. Mark it. Twice. One. Besides stop, let's write stopper. There's a stopper in the bottle.
My base word is stop. My ending is I must write stop. Add. Because my base word stop is a 1-1-1 word, and my ending is starts with a vowel.
Stop. See, you forgot what word you're going to write. That's what we keep saying. Base word, ending, base word. Stop. Twice. Run the down line. Into the letter. All right. Again, tonight, well, tonight you'll look in your writing road reading. There's a heading here that says it needs to begin with a vowel. I want you to put that in there. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to take time to do it. Okay? In 5 minutes, we can go to lunch. So in the meantime, what I want you to do is go to the next page. Actually, now let's go back to section here. And you have written the words through beta. Okay, which should be on page 3 of your notebook back here. Page 1 is here in the corner. One, 2 goes here, 3 goes here. So we're all on the same page, right? 3. So on page 3, you should have failed 4 words down. In so we can be together as a class and everybody's not searching and looking, trying to figure out what you want. Okay, page 3, after fail, boys and girls, we have worked for 2 days now. Adding endings that begin with a vowel to particular kinds of words. We've had base words with silent final E's. We had to write it without the E because we didn't know the vowel. We have 1-1-1 words. We had to know the double consonant. When it's a 1-1-1 word, or adding an ending begins with a vowel. We had to do all of that work because the next word in your book is set. I don't have to tell you what it is. So tell me about it. Tell me about it. And I want to, okay, teachers. The next word in the book is setting, but I didn't just do copy. I do that page 3 and 4 together, and I always do the helping words first because they're easier, because it's an easier concept, right? Without the E, that's all I think about adding because of that. Then I always do that first page just like we just did, okay? We do the helping words, then we go back and we do the hopping words, even though the next word I'm going to write is setting. Again, the list has been changed. The next word used to be coming, but that's why we didn't stop. So we were doing all this other. It's fine, no big deal with it. So we're going to still write. We still know what to do now because we've taken care of that whole concept for 2 days now, right? Okay, tell me about setting, boys and girls. My base word is set.
My ending is ing. I must write set. Add because my base word set is a 1-1-1 word, and my ending ing starts with a vowel.
Write it. I didn't do your homework. I did my own homework. Yes.
Quick question. Are you guys going to teach one line across 2 seasons or just two lines? I know
Tiny line, the direction you read from.
Okay.
You guys are going to teach that. Yes. In my book, I have see, felt, ball, and fail. You have something different?
Yes. Great.
Okay, I have see, felt, ball, and fail. Is that what you have? Okay. So let's write setting. Okay. Back to the beginning. First sound, add, twice for my good, added, in. The rule we've been talking about for the last 2 days is actually Rule 9. Rule 9 says, when I have a base word that is a 1-1-1 word, and I want to add an ending that begins with a vowel, I must double the final consonant before I can add it. So beside this, I want you to write Rule 9. Your rules are going to be 1 inch away, not at the margin, but about 1 inch away, which is about the size of your knuckle. Sometimes you can't, sometimes you have too many, but this time you can write Rule 9. Rule 9 says that was okay to go. Now, in the book, the next word is set. If I hadn't spent all this time with you talking about it, if I were in 2nd grade, I would have had to skip a line and write set. Now we're going to say, let's look at this word. How many syllables? How many vowels? How many consonants follow the vowel at the end of the word? We call this word a 1-1-1 word. Tell me what a 1-1-1, you go through the whole thing, because you're only doing the set. And you're going to write the base word first. Okay? So we just spent all this time doing this. I don't have to have you do that. Now what I'll say to you is, on the following line, write your base word. I won't tell you the word. I'll just say, write your base word. Okay? Next line, after setting, write your base word. If there's something that you can do to make a little charge happen in the brain, do that. Don't give it to them. All right, and you may brace those two. And you may go to lunch, and I'll see you here at 12:30, I will start the